Good afternoon from Craven Cottage. You're with BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra for live commentary from the Premier League. We've got a London derby to look forward to. Fulham against Tottenham Hotspur. One side pushing for a European place, the other in the lower regions of the table. At the start of the season, you'd assume Spurs would be the team pushing for the top six, but their league troubles, well documented. Fulham enjoying a very impressive season under Marco Silva, and they're very much in the mix for European football, possibly even a Champions League place, given the top five almost certainly will be enough. Fulham currently 6 points behind Manchester City, who occupy fifth. A bright, breezy, chilly early spring, late winter afternoon in the capital certainly has felt like the latter over the last few days, and a nice buzz around Craven Cottage, as there always is. The two sides making their way onto the field of play. The pyrotechnics burst into life opposite us. Opposite the riverside stand the flamethrowers and the smoke billowing up into the air. Hopefully an entertaining game ahead. And here to enjoy it with us, Brentford defender Ben Mee, fresh from a good win at Bournemouth yesterday. He's here at Fulham, who sit a point above the Bees. Ben, it's good to be here, and this has a good feel, doesn't it? We're hopeful of a really front-footed, entertaining, high-scoring game.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, looking forward to the game. Been interesting tie. Fully expecting Fulham to come out on the front foot and get after Spurs, who had a big game in midweek, a big game on Thursday, made a few changes. Fully expecting Fulham to start on that front foot and really take the game to Spurs.
The teams make the long walk out of the tunnel here at Craven Cottage, which is in the corner just in front of the famous cottage here, and they walk right across to the far side of the field, and you get a real idea of how many people are involved in first team football these days, because there are so many bodies that make their way out. Sports scientists, fitness coaches, goalkeeping coaches. Nothing new to you, of course, Ben, but it always amazes me how many people are involved these days.
No, you're right. I was watching the warm-up as well. There seems to be, especially the Spurs side of the pitch, so many grey tracksuit tops and bottoms walking around the pitch, and yeah, they just seem to be coming out of nowhere.
Teams shaking hands, so a good opportunity to run through the two sides. One slightly easier than the other. Fulham just one change from their last Premier League game. That was last weekend, a 2-1 defeat at Brighton. Issa Diop, the centre-half, not included in the squad, so we presume he's injured, and Willian comes into the team for a first start of his second spell. So presumably a return to a back four for Marco Silva, who went with a back five at the Amex Stadium, but it's a familiar back four today. Bernd Leno, the former Arsenal goalkeeper, playing against Spurs, in goal for Fulham. The back four, Timothy Castagna, Joachim Andersen, Calvin Bassey, Anthony Robinson, and then Alex Iwobi, Xander Berger, Andreas Pereira, Willian and Emil Smith-Rowe behind Raul Jimenez. Spurs team is complex. 7 changes from Thursday night's win over AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League. This season's emphasis very much on success in that competition, so a whole host of changes made by Ange Postecoglou. Porro, Van der Ven, Sarr, Bergvall, Maddison, Odegaard and Son are all on the bench. So starts for Udogie, Bentancur, Gray, Davis, Basuma, Johnson and Tell. Vicario, the goalkeeper, Jed Spence, Christian Romero, Ben Davis and Destiny Udogie make up the back four. Rodrigo Bentancur, Archie Gray and Yves Bissouma. So we get to see Archie Gray in a centre midfield role today, which we were used to seeing him in his Leeds days. Has very much been filling in at centre half, needs must for Spurs, but he's in the centre of midfield today. Brennan Johnson, Mathis Tell and Dominic Solanke, the front three for Spurs, who go into a pre-match huddle away to our left-hand side. Fulham are pretty much ready to go away to our right. Spurs now making their way across to where their fans sit in one half of the Putney end, away to our left-hand side. The Riverside stand opposite us, this impressive newish stand that towers above us, by no means full, but the two ends, the Hammersmith end and the Putney end, are very much full. And hopefully a good game on 5 Sports Extra on this packed Sunday of sport. Later on today, the final round of the Players' Championship from Sawgrass, with Rory McIlroy 4 shots off the lead. We've got the final of Indian Wells later. Jack Draper taking on Holger Rune. We had the Australian Grand Prix on 5 Live earlier today. We've got the League Cup final to come. Arsenal-Chelsea on 5 Live. And here on 5 Sports Extra, it is a London derby. The West Londoners of Fulham against the North Londoners of Spurs, and we are underway. Fulham in their traditional home strip, the white shirts, the black shorts with a faint red trim and white socks. They will be kicking from right to left as we watch from the Johnny Haynes stand, so away from the Hammersmith towards the Putney end. And Spurs are changed, all in a light green from head to toe with a few green splodges dotted here and there. They're building the first attack of the game. Bentancur to Johnson, 5 or 6 yards outside the Fulham penalty area. Solanke gets his first touch of the game, and now all the way back to Christian Romero. Ben, how do you see today shaping up? Fulham have made that change, going from 5 at the back to 4 at the back, so you expect them to be on the front foot?
Yeah, I fully expect Fulham to be on the front foot. And with Spurs, looking forward to seeing young Archie Gray in the middle of midfield. He's done such a good job at, in the defensive role he's been asked to play in the months that he's been in the side. And it'd be interesting to see him in that sort of central position, how he does up against a really strong Fulham midfield in there. Really looking forward to the contest.
Spurs monopolising possession in the early stages until Smith Rowe gets a foot in. Pereira over halfway. Bentancur snapping into a challenge, and it came off Pereira last. So that's a Spurs throw in their right back area. The sun joins us, plenty of clouds overhead. So the sunshine is fairly weak. We can see the shadows of the players and the referee, who is Andy Madley, in the centre of the field. Spence enjoying this prolonged spell in the Spurs side this season. Finds Bissouma, who's clearly being fouled by Willian, who protests his innocence. But that was a clear shirt pull, and Spurs will have this free kick deep inside their own half. Fulham, 10th in the Premier League, 8 ahead of Spurs, albeit Spurs rather quirkily have scored the second most goals in the Premier League this season. Only Liverpool have scored more. But Ben, their Premier League travails have been very well documented, and in particular the injury problems that Ange Postecoglou has had to deal with. Yeah, absolutely.
But you just mentioned there Jed Spence, who's coming to the side, probably on the back of a lot of these injuries, and has done really well and benefited from that. And we found out he's come into his own in this Premier League side and done really well and been very consistent. So there's been some positives within that as well. Archie Gray's got a lot of games under his belt. We mentioned him before, and there's some positive spells within. Obviously a disappointing season so far for Spurs. But yeah, I think these young players that are getting a run in the side, it'll do them the world of good, and the future will.
Ball breaks for the Spurs goalkeeper Vicario, after Spurs had kept very sensible possession and enjoying prolonged spells of possession, but Fulham very nearly in with Raul Jimenez.
Yeah, a little bit lucky there. A little bit slower on the ball that got ricocheted, was into Jimenez's pass, but managed to roll through to Vicario.
Bentancur, that's a nice ball to release Johnson, who sets off on the right hand side of the penalty area. Solanke the target, Anderson with a very useful touch to divert the ball away from danger, but Spurs can continue pressing forward here. Spence near side the right, couple of yards in from the touchline, give and go with Bissouma. Now Gray, plenty of space to operate in the centre of the Spurs midfield. Davis can calm things down in the centre circle, and Romero can start things going again for Spurs, who have had, I'd say, 90% of the ball in the opening 3 and a bit minutes at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. The ball on that far side, the left, the Bayern Munich loanee Matis Tel, who's yet to really settle in a Spurs shirt, you'd say. He's been out of the team the last couple of matches, but gets an opportunity from the start and can't control that. Fulham on the counter-attack. Jimenez over halfway. He's got Smith Rowe one side, Pereira the other. It goes to Pereira. His ball across goal is a couple of yards wide. Was he shooting? Was he crossing? I think he was looking for Smith Rowe at the back post. It drifts behind for a goal kick, but that's the first real moment of danger for Fulham.
Yeah, an uncharacteristic pass from Bentancur there into Matthias Tell, and a good bit of play there. Jimenez rolling it out to Pereira, but a bit too much on the cross, not quite enough whip on that, and it kind of goes straight off his laces, and no danger there in the end.
Yeah, it was a little dink to the back post where he hoped Smith Rowe was arriving, which he was, but the ball had too much pace on it. Spurs in the Fulham half to Destiny Udogie, who's featured in the last 3 Premier League matches, and his only appearances have been those 3 in 2025. Another one of the Spurs defenders who has suffered with a whole host of injury problems this season. Hamstring, Udogie's issue. Here's Bissouma, slides it down the line, looking for Johnson, who does keep that in play. Udogie continues his run. Sander Berger's in the way of that. Anderson steps out of defence. Willian, immediately recognisable with that big afro haircut. And Berger can calm things down for Fulham and bring Bernd Leno into the game. And with 5 minutes played, Ben, Fulham will just want to get a feel of the football because they haven't seen much of it.
Yeah, feel of football. A couple of mistakes from Spurs as well. It's been close to capitalising on, but yeah, get a foot hold of the ball and knock it around a bit. But Spurs have started decent, started well on the ball, obviously apart from their mistakes, but look comfortable.
Berger to Jimenez, base of the centre circle, inside the Spurs half. Johnson robs him and then floats a hopeful ball in the direction of Tell on that far side of the left, level with the edge of the Fulham penalty area. Some good defending by Castagna to get his body in the way of Tell and ball, and that's out of play for a Fulham throw in their right back area. Fulham, who could move to within 3 points of Manchester City in 5th if they were to win, but home form has been a bit of an issue for Marco Silva. Just 1 win in their last 7 Premier League home games, so they'd like to alter that statistic today, and you feel they have a good chance against a Spurs side who have made plenty of changes, albeit Spurs have settled the better here. Bentancur into the feet of the gloved Solanke on a nippy mid-March afternoon at Craven Cottage. He's not the only one in gloves. You can see Calvin Bassey and also Raul Jimenez sporting the gloves. And now Joachim Andersen can stride out of defence for the white shirts of Fulham, going from right to left. Direct ball to Smith Rowe. One touch to control, the other to bring Anthony Robinson into the game. His left-footed ball in. Davis heads away, only as far as Smith Rowe. Ball to Willian, and now Robinson again near side the left, level with the edge of the Spurs penalty area. Robinson, such a threat on this left-hand side. Only Mo Salah has more assists in the Premier League this season. Willian finds Robinson with a clever ball, but that was well read by Udogie, who similarly to Castagna at the other end gets body in between player and ball. Out of play it goes. It was Spence with the defending actually, and it's a Spurs goal kick. 0-0, 7 minutes in.
Yeah, Spence read that really well, just the pass in the inside there. I think Johnson just got caught his body position, and Spence saw that and saw the ball out of play, and good defending, but in the build-up, nice touch from Smith Rowe in the middle of that from Anderson, who fired a ball into him, and a lovely little touch there from Smith Rowe in the build-up. Fulham
beginning to have some more joy in this match. It's Willian again, almost at walking pace on this near side the left, level with the edge of the Spurs box. Berger spreads the play, Anderson's touch, and it goes one more to Castagna. The play now on that far side the right, give and go with Iwobi. Castagna to the byline, his ball in. Davis heads away and out of play for the first corner of the afternoon, and it's gone the way of Fulham.
Nice little give and go on the side there. Tell it was who got a little bit caught ball watching. Castagna managed to play it inside to Iwobi and just run off him, just managed to stay on side, and nice little dink ball towards Jimenez, who wanted it stood up. Good defending in the end.
An opportunity for Fulham to throw the big players forward, and there are a few of them in this Fulham side. Bassey's made his way up there, so too is Anderson. Williams' corner is dinked towards the back post. Jimenez attacks it, and this drops inside the penalty area. Frenetically cleared by Spurs. Pereira on the edge. There's an opportunity to continue the pressure. Anderson floats a good-looking ball in. That is dealt with by Gray, doing some good work back there. Robinson back on halfway, and he has to go all the way back to Bernd Leno, all in blue this afternoon. Anderson, who put that cross in, he would rather be the recipient of a ball in, but it had decent shape, and Gray did well to get that away. Ben Davis in possession for Spurs, making his 350th appearance for Tottenham Hotspur. As they say, what a servant he's been. That's Ben Mee territory for Burnley, isn't it? You must have almost hit that milestone.
Yeah, I was around about that, I think. Now he's a top-class professional. Ben, he plays centre half, plays full back, wing back, and always seems to be a really steady head in that back line when he's called upon.
Yeah, very much so for both Spurs and for the Welsh national team. Spurs win the ball back inside the Fulham half. Bentancur steps away from Pereira and finds Udogie on that far side, the left. Little trick to get away from Iwobi. Not sure he needed it because Iwobi wasn't particularly close to him. Here is the aforementioned Davis, and now Christian Romero, left-hand side of the centre circle. Started the last 2 games. Romero, his first appearances since early December. Just another indicator of how much Spurs have struggled. They have missed players. Lots of teams have missed players, but Spurs seem to have missed their big players more often than most, and that has made such a difference.
Yeah, I think, you look at the 2 centre-halves, massive for any team when your 2 centre-halves, main centre-halves are out the side for so long, such a long period of time. And of course, other players knocking around that as well, in and out of the side, suspensions as well and things. So yeah, it's been a struggle for Spurs to keep their strongest 11 out on the pitch. Something they obviously need to maybe look into and try and keep them out there for more percentage of the games.
Here's Tell, looking dangerous for Spurs on that far side, the left. Good ball into the back post, headed away by Robinson. Willian with a clearance that isn't overly successful. The backpedaling Castagna has to nod further clear and will complete some form of clearance by hammering it against Udogie. And that's out of play for a Fulham goal kick. So Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. We're creeping into the 11th minute, still waiting for the first real opportunity of the game. Over on 5 Live, Arsenal 0, Chelsea 0, with the League Cup final to come from Wembley. A 4:30 kick-off, Liverpool against Newcastle. I passed many Newcastle supporters on the way down from the East Midlands to West London. Saw many actually Newcastle supporters even trundling through London. There were many making a journey from this part of London to Wembley. They'll be keen to end that long wait for a trophy. Liverpool looking for back-to-back League Cup titles. Mix up by Fulham in the centre of their own midfield. Berger and Anderson ran into each other. Willian with a lovely nonchalant flick to bring Smith Rowe into the game, and that was appreciated by the Fulham supporters. Robinson now will have to go all the way back to the edge of his own penalty area, but he's given it away. Solanke away from Bassi, who nips back at him, and that was a good job too from a Fulham perspective, because Spurs were looking dangerous. Spence can't keep that in play, and Fulham have a throw. Fulham looking measured, but they're just punctuating that measured play with a few loose passes.
Yeah, Robinson taking a little bit too long on the ball then, and Johnson picking his pocket a little bit, but fortunately Calvin Bassey was on his toes, and really strong defending to not let Solanke in then, and it was an important bit of defending from Bassey there. Really well done.
Still 0-0 in the Steel City derby at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 0, and Celtic have a goal back in the Old Firm derby. Now Celtic 1, Rangers 2 at the start of the second half. Robinson rampaging forward near side the left. Gray will head this away before Jimenez can cause any damage. Willian retrieves it on this near side the left. Robinson in field, who is offside, and that's one you can file under disappointing, because Anthony Robinson had the freedom of a view, an unimpeded view across the Spurs back line, but he couldn't keep himself onside, and Spurs have this free kick.
Yeah, frustrating, but I think he was coming back from making that cross. I think he was just wanting Willian to delay the ball a little bit as he got back onside. Probably played it in a little bit too fast for him. So yeah, disappointing that he was offside, but potentially the ball could have been delayed a little bit more, seeing that he was coming back.
We can see both managers opposite us, and Postecoglou, hands plunged into his coat pocket. Hugh Grant is one of the interested spectators, a big Fulham fan. We can see him. I think he's sitting right at the front of the cottage, actually, just away to our left-hand side. Marco Silva comes out of his seat and towards the edge of his technical area is Spence now, tiptoes towards the edge of the Fulham penalty area. All this on the right-hand side for Spurs, and they'll win this throw. Marco Silva, his 200th game as a Premier League manager, and he's having a very good season for Fulham. Bissouma into the box. That took a nick off a Fulham man last, so that will be a corner and will represent Tottenham's first corner of the afternoon. Some decent work from Spence, who we know loves to get forward. Bissouma then with a cross, and an opportunity now for Spurs to throw the big men forward. And you can hear the Tottenham fans all standing in the Putney end to our left. They are yet to have a clear glimpse of the burnt Leno goal, but this represents a decent opportunity to change that. Archie Gray on this near side the right over this corner, left hand in the air, movement just a little bit static in the penalty area. Gray delivers, Jimenez heads only to the edge of the penalty area, and it's played back out to the corner taker Gray, who'll deliver a good ball with his right foot. Johnson was at the front post, so too was Berger. That's a good touch to divert the ball away from Johnson, who was ready to pull the trigger. Another corner. Yeah,
good balling from Archie Gray there on the second the second option. But yeah, like I think you said, there's a lot of staticness in the box there, not a lot of movement. Going to attack the ball. We'll see if it's any different on this time round.
Archie Gray very carefully places the ball inside the quadrant where the Johnny Haynes stand meets the Hammersmith end, near side the right for Spurs. Gray delivers with his right foot. It's a good one. Bentancur rose, didn't get any purchase on it. Solanke at the back post. Castagna hacks the ball away from him, and Pereira's isolated on that far side but uses good strength to shield the ball, and that's out of play for a Fulham free kick. I think has been given there, maybe a little foul on Castagna. Better corner, that one.
Yeah, better, and attacked well by Bentancur, but just a little bit too high for him. A little bit better, but not a lot's happened in these first 15 minutes.
Yeah, we gave it the big billing and hoped for lots of goals, but it's been a fairly sleepy start, I think you can say.
Yeah, a little bit of that Sunday feel about it.
When you're playing games like this, do you feel it? As I suppose when you're position as a centre-back, you tend to see a lot more of the ball actually in games like this.
Yeah, I think we played in Europe for Burnley, and on Thursday nights, we played on a Saturday afternoon a lot. A Sunday afternoon a lot, yeah. And it had a little bit of a feel getting going sort of thing, trying to get going in the first 20 minutes or so. Hopefully we'll see us come to life in the next few minutes.
Smith Rowe with a foot in. Iwobi couldn't control on the turn, right in the middle of the Fulham half, and it's all the way back with the former Arsenal goalkeeper Bernd Leno, who played in many a North London derby during his time with Arsenal. Now in the white of Fulham, or the blue of Fulham to be more correct, his blue goalkeeping jersey. Jimenez on halfway with a touch to get away from a sliding Romero. You can always rely on him to get a game going, can't you, Christian Romero? He's never shy of a reckless challenge. That wasn't reckless, but it was a little bit wild considering the position on the field, which was very harmless on the halfway line.
Yeah, it's took a leave one on him, I think, on the halfway line. Jimenez certainly felt it a little bit on his ankle. It was a little bit unnecessary to go to ground like that, but he got away with it.
Bassi with some quick thinking to manoeuvre the ball away from danger. Solanke and Johnson were closing him down quickly, and this could profit Fulham, who are moving forward slowly with Berger, and now Pereira, who turns away from Tell and plays an intelligent ball to Iwobi, far side the right. Iwobi's cross, no one there, or at least no one there in a white shirt, so that's comfortably cleared by Davis. Anderson can reload for Fulham just inside the Tottenham half. The very graceful Berger plays it to Willian near side the left, prods it infield to Smith Rowe, a couple of yards outside the Spurs penalty area. Lovely ball. Robinson has plenty of time to cross. It's low towards Willian. The angle wasn't great for Robinson. He was limited in what he could do, and hence the cross wasn't one of his better ones. Smith Rowe then fouls Johnson, and a promising attack comes to nothing for Fulham. Still 0-0.
Yeah, nice little ball from Smith Rowe and then behind the defence, but the ball was just sort of rolling out towards the byline, and Robinson on his weaker foot couldn't quite cut it back. Or probably a better option was to stand up to the far post, but he's tried to pull it back and easily read and caught out by Basuma, I think.
He's having another excellent season, isn't he, Anthony Robinson? 10 assists to his name. The American international. Tell for Tottenham, dispossessed by Pereira on that far side. Pereira then does well to evade the scampering Tell, who in his desperation to win the ball back maybe fouled Iwobi. Referee had a good view and waves play on, chiefly because Fulham have the ball, albeit now he will stop the game because Iwobi was caught by Tell and is just gingerly getting up to his feet now. And the game is not being helped by these sort of incidents that are just taking out what little momentum we have.
Yeah, stop start of the play, but it was a good reaction from Tell actually. He lost the ball in there, and then he's reacted and chased down Iwobi. I'm not sure it was a foul. I think he's managed to get a foot on the ball, but Iwobi fell out a little bit. But yeah, again, it just stops the game, slows the game down a little bit more, and we kind of want to get that intensity into it and get the game going a bit, flowing a bit more. 19
minutes played. The voice of Brentford defender Ben Mee with us on 5 Sports Extra, as Vicario has to deal with a difficult back pass, which he does well with his side foot on the edge of his own penalty area. Berger just out-muscles Solanke. The gloved Bassi to Willian with an early ball forward looking for Robinson. A little bit too much pace on that. Spence picks it up. The green-booted Bissouma now, and Spence can go all the way back to Romero, and we have our first cry of get into him, and then there's another telltale sign that the crowd just want a little more intensity from the home side.
Yeah, agree.
Vicario all in yellow for Spurs. Davis in field, and it's Udogie who has to spin away from Iwobi, and that was enough pressure for Spurs to give the ball away. Jimenez, Iwobi, hopefully towards Castagna, who'd made a good run into the penalty area, dealt with by Spurs. Iwobi off Bentancur, he felt that was off Bentancur's hand. Referee Andy Madley again had a good view and again was not interested in giving a free kick. And it's Davis inside his own centre circle. Johnson's touch with his right, early ball with his left. Bassi has too much nous for Solanke, drops the shoulder, wins the ball back, and it's Anderson who can set off once again for Fulham. There's no shortage of effort from both of these sides, there's just a shortage of attacking quality with 20 minutes on the clock. Might change now though as Tell into the penalty area, better onto his left foot, Tell across goal, no one there to turn home. The clearest opening of the game so far made by the 19-year-old Mathis Tell. Still danger for Fulham to try and clear. It's with Spence on this near side, the right. Johnson is with him, but he's got two Fulham players to try and beat. Spence slows it down. Infield it goes. Bissouma dispossessed. That was a little bit too easy from a Fulham perspective, and Jimenez can find Berger, and Fulham can find their rhythm once again. That was a decent opening for Spurs.
Yeah, fantastic bit of play on that left-hand side from Tell, and he gets a bit of space in the box and gets his head up, but he can't find Solanke, who looked free in the middle, and plays it sort of cross goal, but not towards where his striker was, and he was waiting for a tap in.
It wasn't too far away from being an own goal. Actually, was aware defending, I think, from Robinson, who was in that awkward position of staring at his own goalkeeper, staring at his own goal, knowing that any touch might have taken it in, but he had the awareness to realise exactly where the closest Spurs man was, and he wasn't too close to it. So it remains 0-0, Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Arsenal have taken the lead at the Emirates against Chelsea. Mikel Merino has scored, the makeshift striker for Arsenal. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. They, like us, are in the 22nd minute. This game needs a goal. Spurs building with Udogie on halfway, and Tell plays it all the way back to Davis, who is deep inside his own half. Spurs, who did make it through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League on Thursday, that 3-2 aggregate win over AZ Alkmaar. 7 changes from that side today, a couple of goals for Odobert, Wilson Odobert, his first for Spurs, one of the 7 changes and one of the 7 changes that are sitting on the bench. So plenty of firepower for Ange Postecoglou should he wish to alter things as we move through the game. Likes of Maddison and Porro, Son, all waiting to change things if they get their opportunity to do so. Here is Iwobi on the edge of the box. That's a good ball in. Jimenez attacks it. He wanted a penalty, I think, for a push by Romero. No one was particularly interested, least of all the referee. Robinson still, left-hand angle of the penalty area, back to Berger, and now Willian again with space maybe to cross. He does deliver, but that's straight onto the forehead of Romero. Berger challenges with Solanke on the edge of the penalty area. Bissouma, the dreadlocked Spence facing his own goal. Smith Rowe cuts off the avenue back to goal and does enough to force Spence into a hurried clearance, and then Jimenez very unwisely goes crashing into Gray. It's an obvious free kick to Spurs. Spence was looking for it, Jimenez obliges, and Spurs have this free kick. Yeah,
I think Jimenez was just a little bit frustrated about the referee not giving anything for it wasn't. I don't know. No, I don't think it was a push, but he's got over in the box from a cross, and he's exaggerated the fall, Jimenez, and is obviously a bit frustrated and gives away the foul on the edge of the box himself. Yeah, I could sense your hesitation there, Ben, watching the replay, because there were two hands.
A little bit. It did look like a little bit of a push, but you didn't feel it was enough for Jimenez to fall the way he did, and we play on. Ball into the penalty area, another one for Jimenez to attack, another one that Romero heads away. Solanke's clever little touch to find the scampering Tell, who wins his side a throw. No, he doesn't. The old double kiss, and it's out of play for a Fulham throw on the halfway line. And dare I say it, just a little bit of injection of tempo there as the sun rejoins us. Maybe just what the game needs. Yeah, a couple of attacks from Fulham there. They've got the crowd up a little bit. They need to maintain that sort of tempo now and try and provide some input towards the game, but that's not going to help. No, another aimless long ball forward, this time from Castagna, looking for Willian. Romero steps in to win the ball. Bentancur now plays it out to that far side, the left, where the I was going to say wristbanded tell, but it looks more like a bandage on his right arm. Plays it to Gray. He's had plenty of touches inside the Tottenham midfield. The young Archie Gray operating in the centre of the Spurs midfield today, 19 years of age. Johnson with the base layer, the green base layer to match his green top. Another ball looking for Spence, another one that wasn't hit with any great conviction. Smith Rowe now challenged by Gray. Johnson marauds on this near side, the right, towards the edge of the penalty area. Willian steps out, dispossesses Johnson, out of play for a throw. It's been a game filled with nearly moments, you could say. Just the odd touch that hasn't really worked out.
So many sloppy passes. Just Johnson there, just kicking it against Robinson. It wasn't really on the pass, and he's just sort of swung his left foot. It's like a hopeful sort of pass really, and just too many of them types of passes. We saw Anderson at the back then, just a hopeful long ball. We just need a bit more quality within the game.
Another errant pass, this time from Bissouma straight to Berger, who uses Leno via Anderson. And Leno goes long. Romero meets it with his head. Bentancur on halfway. Better touch. Johnson's touch, though, didn't match it. Loose in possession. And it's not the first time we've said that. Bentancur, another one to lose it. It is strangely loose, given the quality we know both of these sides possess. Williams' cross is closed down, blocked at source. Solanke comes off his shoulder at an awkward angle. Pereira now crunches into a challenge and then was caught late by Bissouma. And that entire passage of play, it just felt like a late tackle was coming. But you very rarely see that in the Premier League, Ben. That was 40 seconds of a... I don't want to be too rude here, but that was a 40 seconds it wouldn't be out of place on the recreation field opposite us.
Yeah, a lot of sloppy touches and passes, and all a bit scrappy. And ends up with a foul from Bissouma coming in there late, or it might be an Archie Gray actually coming in late on. I'm not sure who it was, Pereira, I think. Maybe.
It was Gray. It was late on Pereira, and he also went through his own man Bissouma.
Yeah, but no, like you say, someone just needs to get the foot on the ball, a bit more quality, assert themselves in the game. You expect someone in the midfield to get the foot on it, start knocking it around, and like I say, asserting themselves into the game and start running the game a little bit.
Can we get a moment of quality here? Pereira's over this free kick. It's dead centre of the Spurs half, and he dinks it towards the back post. Castagna unchallenged, heads across. Davis, though, just in front of the 6-yard box, will head partially clear. Anderson picks it up. Castagna will find Iwobi to keep the attack going. It's gone all the way back to Robinson on halfway. Iwobi reloads towards the back post. There's no one there. Willian will make a token gesture to try and keep it in play. He had no chance of that, and really that rather overhit dink sums up the game that we've seen so far at Craven Cottage. It's lacking quality. 28 minutes in, Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
Yep, certainly lacking quality. Another ball up there to Jimenez, but defended really well at the back post by Spence, and Jimenez didn't really have an opportunity to get on the end of that.
Sheffield United have taken the lead in the Steel City derby at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. As Sheffield United hope to be playing in the Premier League next season. It's looking pretty tight at the top end of the Championship with Sheffield United, with Leeds, with your former club Ben Burnley right in the mix as well. Here is Jimenez inside the centre circle. Bassi, short sleeves and gloves, many players sporting that particular combo. Smith Rowe to the long sleeve shirted Willian, approaching the edge of the penalty area. Drops one shoulder, drops the other, back to Robinson, angle of the penalty area. Now the play moving from left to right. Bassi, short pass to Anderson. Every Fulham outfield player inside the Spurs half. Now Fulham having a go down the inside right channel, but most Fulham moves have had the inevitability that they're going to run out of steam at some point, and another one did there. Solanke turns away from Bassi, got a great touch in. Smith Rowe, and there's space for Willian on this left-hand side. Willian now running at Romero, onto his right foot. Was he brought down by Romero? Referee Andy Madley waved it away immediately, I think claiming that he thought Willian was very much looking for that, and you can hear what the fans think.
Yeah, I thought it was a foul. Thought he moved the ball, shifted the ball away from Romero, and he just put a foot across him. Just comment on Calvin Bassi. He's the one that actually looks like he's sharp and up for the game, and he made a really good tackle in the middle of the park. But yeah, he looks like he's one player that actually looks really up for the game, and it looks on it.
He's been in the goals recently as well, Calvin Bassey, 2 in his last 5 appearances in all competitions. Scored in the FA Cup game against Manchester United recently, a game that Fulham won on penalty, so they've got an FA Cup quarter-final to look forward to against Crystal Palace, a nice little London derby for a place at Wembley in the semi-final. So the big game coming up for Fulham. Here's Robinson now, left-hand angle of the penalty area, running at Spence, back to Willian, 1-2 with Robinson, left-footed ball in, he'll get another chance here. Robinson to Jimenez, and his touch took him away from a shooting position. The left foot from Anderson, off Davis, and out of play for a corner. Well, the move had promise, but I don't think anyone in a Fulham shirt hoped that it would end with an Anderson drive from 25 yards out, but it has at least won a corner.
No, I think Robinson gets himself in such a good position in behind the back four. I think the ball's got to go across the goal, and I think Jimenez probably makes the wrong run. He pulls out the 6-yard box to come and receive the ball away from goal, really, when he maybe should be trying to get in there inside the 6-yard box for the ball across. But yeah, it kind of sort of fizzled out a little bit and ended up with a bit of a scuff shot from Anderson on his weaker foot.
Fulham have looked the more threatening, but it's threatening with a small t, because it has been a game littered with poor mistakes. Fulham corner, far side, their right. Willian will take it into the scrum of players. Spence will head it away. Pereira on the volley, hits that well. And you could hear the ooze from the crowd, because that was travelling until it hit, I think, Johnson doing some defending. That's another poor pass. Robinson, but Bassey wins it back from Spence and then shoves Romero to the ground. Romero will not like that, but the Fulham fans did, and it can take something like that to get us going. Castagna now to Willian, first time ball to Jimenez, not where he wants to be, right on that far side. He will win his side a throw that he wants to take quickly. That was a great little battle, centre half on centre half. Bassey on Romero.
Yeah, really good from Bassey, getting the crowd going. Got stuck in twice there, and the second time, he puts Romero on his back, and the crowd enjoyed that.
We'll wait for the retribution. You fancy it's going to come. That's the kind of thing that Christian Romero will not forget.
No.
And if he gets the opportunity to seek that retribution, then I fancy that we are going to see it. 32 minutes played at Craven Cottage, 5 Sports Extra. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. The sun is, well, a bit like this game, really. It's in and out. It threatens to stay with us for a little bit and then disappears behind a cloud, just like we threatened to have a spell of attacking quality in this game, and then that too fizzles out. It is still very chilly though, and we glimpsed spring, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, and we thought, well, that's the end of the thermals, but they've had to be retrieved rather hastily given the temperature has plummeted. Willian now surging towards the edge of the Spurs penalty area. Robinson's left-footed ball in's a good one. It was fizzed in with real venom. Got a nick off a Spurs man, and that's out of play for a Fulham throw on the far side, the right. This is better. Castagna took the throw quickly, or at least Pereira did, but the referee says hold on a moment, because Romero's down inside the penalty area, is actually very close to the 6-yard box, and in that melee there when Robinson fizzed the ball across, I sense he might have got a whack on the forehead there from someone, maybe his own player.
Yeah, I think he's alright. He's getting back up, but no, it's 3 or 4 times now that Robinson's got in behind Spence. Need to watch that, and it's a really good ball across the goal this time. He's actually smashed it across the goal with his left foot, and almost a really good ball, but a good bit of defending from Romero in that front post zone, getting his knee on it just to divert the ball up in the air and away from Jimenez, who was coming in behind him.
One that is so easy to get wrong, similar to Anthony Robinson at the other end. When the ball's played in with such pace and you're facing your own goal, you know that any touch could easily send it in. Yep. He got a really good knee on that to divert it from danger. Jimenez collects nicely. Sorry,
I was just going to say it was a really awkward height for him, so he did really well to just get any part of his body on it.
Iwobi making progress from right to left. That's another awkward clearance straight to Castagna, of all people, inside the penalty area, and his weak left foot shot was easy for Vicario. As much as we were praising the Spurs defence, that wasn't a great clearance, and Castagna's left foot shot, well, he might want that one back, because that was a decent opportunity.
Yeah, he found himself in a really good opportunity there. Ben Davies just getting his foot on the ball when he probably didn't need to. He could have gone through to the keeper, but he decided to take no chances and ended up poor clearance inside his own 18-yard box and fell to Castagna on his left foot. Maybe he had a little bit more time, like you said, than he thought to get a decent connection on it, but yeah, just scuffed it a little bit into Vicaro's hands.
Yeah, could have taken a touch there. Castagna needed a little bit more composure. That was nice and composed from Spence. The Cruyff turn, but that wasn't from Gray. Dispossessed by Iwobi, who's setting off towards the penalty area. Is forced out of it by Romero. And Fulham have this throw. Not a great moment for young Archie Gray there, but helped out by some more assured Spurs defending. Romero forcing the ball out of play, and Fulham have this throw. Celtic have equalised in the Old Firm derby. From 2-0 down, it's now Celtic 2, Rangers 2. And they've got 15 minutes or so to play at Celtic Park. Still Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. And in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. And here at Craven Cottage on 5 Sports Extra, 10 minutes to play until half-time. It's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. That Arsenal-Chelsea game is available on 5 Live, followed by the League Cup final as Bentancur trips Berger, who refuses Bentancur's hand of apology and then looks at the referee. I think we all know what that look means. Because we all know that if you start brandishing your hands, you're going to get a yellow card. But I think an accusing glare got the message across.
Yeah, I think later in the game that probably is a booking. Nice little turn from Berger in the midfield, and then just pulled back by Bentancur. Cynical little foul, but got away with it.
Robinson, Willian, Robinson again, low ball into the box, cleared at the front post. Bassi then does not foul Solanke, does foul Solanke. Well, the referee waited, and given that he's let an awful lot go, I fancied that he was going to let that go. But almost the players gave that for him because everyone seemed to stop.
Yeah, could have gone either way. That looked a little soft, but also understand why he's giving it. But again, that move, Robinson in behind the defence, he's making them runs constantly up and down that line in behind Spence, and getting some joy with it. So we're looking at that one and thinking maybe that's where Fulham can get a little bit more joy as the game goes on.
Yeah, he's a fine player, and you do wonder, don't you, if he hadn't have pledged his allegiance to America all those years ago, Anthony Robinson, whether he might be in Thomas Tuchel's England squad, because we know left back is a problem area for England at the moment.
No, absolutely, and he's had a fantastic season, and playing on this left hand side, his pace and his power and his running ability, and he's certainly someone that potentially would be considered.
He's a real leader in this Fulham side now, the captain of the side, 27 years of age, so right in the prime of his career, and he's on the ball again, playing it back to Calvin Bassi in the bright sunshine. Now we can see the shadow of the Riverside stand with its opaque roof above us, and floodlights have flickered on, but we have no need for them with a very bright scene down below. Sadly, the football has not been so bright, although it has been better in the last 7 or 8 minutes. Iwobi strides over halfway, angles a ball towards Jimenez, who'd made a curved run away from Romero, but Romero in the way. Here's Anthony Robinson again with the white base layer. Jimenez with his long hair bobbing up and down. He's got a headband to keep everything in place. Robinson near side the left, hugging the touchline. He's got chalk on his boots, as they say. Jimenez, late touch. No. Then he was clipped and fouled. Well, maybe Spurs got lucky with a Solanke one on the edge of the penalty area. I wonder if Fulham got a little bit fortunate there. 27,182 inside Craven Cottage today. It's a very early attendance, actually. We normally get the attendance midway through the second half, but we've got it nice and early. Thought maybe Spurs got a little bit fortunate. Fulham got a bit fortunate there.
Look at the replay.
Or maybe a little tread on the foot of Solanke. Yeah. So free kick Fulham. Left-hand side of the centre circle. The Fulham fans rhythmically chat. They've got their clappers out, and they are slamming them together to generate some noise and generate some atmosphere. 7 minutes to play until half-time. Smith Rowe, the latest guilty party, with a loose pass that was behind Pereira. Fulham recover. Berger plays it out to Castagna on that far side, the right. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Anderson away from Tell. Far side, the right. Is he fouled? Referee thought about it, but we play on, and play on we do with Davis on the edge of his own penalty area. Bissouma in a patch of shade, and the shade is just beginning to encroach ever more across this pitch. The shadows are lengthening as we move through the afternoon. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Robinson over halfway. Left-footed ball in field to Willian, who's seen plenty of touches. Willian making his first start of his second spell. Berger backwards of square. Anderson collects his right-footed ball, long ball, diagonal. Robinson won't get on the end of that because Spence is in the way, and that drops out of play for a Willian throw. And Fulham are just edging closer and closer to Vicario's goal. That's a good ball from Willian to find Smith Rowe. His left-footed ball across. Jimenez takes it really well. Iwobi there too. Spurs defending doggedly and successfully in the end. Vicario picks it up, but just a glimmer of a chance there for Fulham, Ben, firstly for Jimenez and then for Iwobi.
Yeah, Fulham certainly got a foothold in this game now in the last sort of 15-20 minutes. Another ball in behind, so that right back, centre half position. This time Smith Rowe getting in behind and getting the ball across, and Jimenez just couldn't quite get the ball under control to get a shot off. But no, promising for Fulham in this past 15 minutes or so. Certainly have been the better side and showed more attacking threat.
Smith Rowe robs Gray. Pereira keeps the move going to Iwobi on the right hand side of the penalty area, away from one, back to Berger, who'd love to keep this attack going forward. Iwobi now drops the shoulder. Castagna, the dummy overlap. Iwobi's cross, couple of ricochets, that'll be a corner. Handball appeals, but weak handball appeals that came from the crowd rather than anyone else.
You're not getting a handball for that.
No. Andy Madley was very quick to dismiss that. VAR, of course, will be having a cursory look in the background, but no, in fact, I'm not sure it even hit. Well, I'm not sure whose hand that does hit. Udogie had his hands behind his back. Maybe Bentancur. Yeah, it's Bentancur's trailing left arm, but no, you're not getting a penalty for that. Not in this day and age. Fulham corner, the latest corner on that far side, the right. Clapperboards being clapped by the Fulham supporters. Anderson's header was heading towards the bottom corner until Solanke's useful foot got in the way. Robinson will fire another left-footed ball out to fine ball to Pereira, right-hand side of the box. Early ball, there's no one there. Vicario was loose. Bassi tries to get hold of that. It's back out of the penalty area. Berger, fans want him to toss it back into the danger zone. He might have a chance now. Willian, Berger, and Willian again. Level with the edge of the Spurs box. Slows it right down. Has Robinson for company. Onto his left foot, Willian. He might use Robinson now, should do and does. Willian, Robinson's first time ball. Romero once again, powerful header away. All the way back to Bassi, who can continue plotting Fulham forward. Berger's got Robinson in space. Robinson has more space to cross, and he does with his left foot. Johnson in the way. It's another Fulham corner, and with 3 minutes to play until half-time, Fulham are threatening the opening goal.
Yeah, good play from Fulham, keeping up this pressure on the Spurs defence, but Spurs defending solidly in and around sort of their own penalty area, forcing the ball wide and cutting out crosses in the main. Another corner here to defend.
Couple of corners on that far side, the right for Fulham. This on their near side, the left. Pereira's over it, this time with his left arm in the air. In front of the Putney end, it's a corner to the front post, which again wasn't hit with the requisite quality. Smith Rowe retrieves Robinson, but he's all the way on the halfway line. Smith Rowe again. Crowd a little bit subdued, and it's matched the kind of game that we're witnessing. Anderson to Willian, better ball, near side the left. Again, has to wait for Udogie to make some kind of move to threaten him, and then he drops the shoulder to go the other way, but Willian goes all the way back to Robinson and one further back to Anderson. Fulham at least keeping hold of the ball, but they're not doing much with it. Berger to Robinson. Crowd are very, very hushed as we tick towards half-time. Smith Rowe to Willian, who does deliver this time. Goes directly into the box. Good ball. Castagna nods it down. Jimenez. Chester control. Right foot volley. Had Davis in the way and he blocked it at source. That was travelling. May well have troubled Vicario, but didn't get that far. And now Spence, who has swapped sides. Spence now operating at left back and Udogie at right back. And Spence is making good progress until he runs into Castagna, who puts in a decent challenge. Iwobi now over halfway. He can't get away from his man. And we're back into that mode, I'm afraid, where both sides are struggling to string 2-3 passes together.
Yeah, Spurs trying to get hold of the ball here, but it's a decent press from Fulham to win the ball back. I think that's where the mistakes are coming from. Fulham are desperate to get that ball back as quick as they can in that middle of the park, and Spurs just need to get a foothold of the game, really. Get back into this. They've been under a little bit of pressure. Get through to half time. There's not long left, and I can't imagine there being too much injury time.
Both managers still standing on the edge of their own technical areas. Marco Silva with a very bright pair of white boots, white trainers rather. His playing days have long gone. He looks like he can still play, Marco Silva. Free kick Spurs inside the Fulham half as we look towards the fourth official, who is Simon Hooper, was in charge of Manchester City against Brighton yesterday. Awarded Manchester City an early penalty, which Erling Haaland scored, becoming the first player to reach 100 goal involvements, or at least the quickest player to reach 100 goal involvements. 94 games he's managed it, and he's preparing his electronic board, and we can see the red number 1, and you always get a measure of how good a half has been based on stoppage time, I feel, Ben, and the lower it is normally means it's either whizzed by and it's been great, or it's been a little bit clunky, and it's sadly been the latter.
Yeah, it certainly has. Disappointing from both teams, really.
Davis, though, good turn into the penalty area, ball that Bassi does really well to clear because it was very low down, his chest control, and then he whacked it forward. Jimenez is then checked by Romero, and that's a free kick to Fulham, and that might be that for the first half.
Yeah. Well, I've been impressed by Calvin Bassey this half. I know he's been playing well recently, and a nice bit of calm defending in a good position there, and aware of his surroundings and be able to chest that ball to Sanderberg. No panic, nice and calm. A good bit of defending.
Yeah, it was Basuma who just caught Jimenez. No malice, but Jimenez, as he turned away from his man, just caught by a trailing Basuma left foot. So we've played the minute of added on time. I'm sure when Bassi takes this free kick, the referee will blow the half-time whistle and points towards the tunnel, and that's where players and coaching staff will head. And we'd like to say we've brought you a thriller on 5 Sports Extras. Sadly, it has not been, and you're hard-pressed, Ben, to think of any real moment of quality. And the only real flickers that we've had came for Timothy Castagna with a left foot shot from inside the penalty area that was easily saved by Vicario. At the other end, Spurs flashed a dangerous cross across the penalty area that Johnson wasn't too far away from getting on the end of. But it is a game that can drastically improve 0-0.
Yeah, things can only get better. Fully expecting Spurs to utilise that bench that they've got, a strong bench on there. They've not really had an attacking threat whatsoever. Taylor had one opportunity down that left-hand side, nice bit of skill. But yeah, as an attacking threat, not really done much. Defensive-wise, they've done well. In and around their own 18-yard box. Be concerned maybe with how many times they got in behind down this Fulham left-hand side, their right-hand side. Caused a few opportunities there. Fulham grew into the game. It was a little bit stop-start at the beginning, but Fulham grew into the game and put on a little bit of pressure. But as you say, nothing really clear-cut. Castagna maybe on his left foot could have took a little bit of an opportunity straight into Vicario's arms, but yeah, nothing clear-cut. Not much quality to go off there, but hopefully a better second half to come.
And who do you think will be the happier at half-time? Fulham have had more of the game. Spurs, though, we know their frailties recently. Or both managers want a lot more from their sides. Yeah, I
can't imagine both managers being too happy. Marco Silva would have wanted a bit more from his team to come out and get the crowd up, and especially after sort of Thursday night for Spurs, and I think Spurs will probably be happy to go in 0-0, get through this half, and as I said, the bench looks strong to maybe bring on and freshen it up a little bit.
We need some of the old firm magic, because a 5th goal has gone in at Celtic Park, and Rangers, having been 2-0 up and then pegged back to 2-2, have just scored to go 3-2 up with only a couple of minutes to play. Celtic 2, Rangers 3. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0's a half-time score in the Premier League. Leicester, Manchester United to come at 7. That's live on 5 Live. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. Closing stages in the Championship. And Palace Villa underway in the Women's Super League, currently at 0-0. So half-time at Craven Cottage. And as Ben said, things can only get better, and hopefully we will get better in the second half, and we'll bring that second half to you here on 5 Sports Extra. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0 for now. We'll rejoin the coverage over on BBC Radio 5 Live.
around the Arsenal kind of penalty area, but they couldn't fashion any chances. Arsenal have no problem getting bodies behind the ball. They've no problem kind of defending their box if they have to. So a deserved lead, played some really good football. Arsenal, I thought they were really good out of possession, swarmed Chelsea every time they kind of got on the ball, and Chelsea didn't really have the answer. So there's some thinking for Maresca to do at half time. I think he's going to have to change something in terms of whether they can get more movement in behind, or whether they can get a little bit more possession in and around that midfield area by putting another body in there. So difficult half for Chelsea and a good one for Arsenal.
Chelsea on course to lose 4 in a row on the road. Arsenal meanwhile set to pick up their first league win in 4. Half-time here, Steve. Arsenal leading Chelsea by a 1-0.
Thank you very much, both on 5 Sports Extra. Fulham Tottenham has reached half-time. Mike Williams.
And it's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0 here. Not too much to say, really. The home side have been on top without too much to show for it. Just the one shot on target. Ben Davies failing to clear a high ball for Spurs. It fell to Timothy Castagna. The Belgian shot, though, straight at Vicario, who saved smartly. Jimenez and Willian have looked lively for Fulham, but just not been able to unpick a disciplined Spurs defence. Ange Postecoglou, remember, made 7 changes to the side that reached the last 8 of the Europa League on Thursday. He rested most of the big names from the starting 11 that night, but I reckon it won't be too long until we see the likes of Son, Maddison, Van de Ven and Bergvall in the second half. Half-time here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
What an Old Firm contest we've had today. Kenny Crawford.
91 minutes we're into. It's the first minute of 5 minutes added time that we've played. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 3. Celtic looked to be the team with the upper hand in the second half. They got the 2 goals to get level, but then Hamza, eager man, wait until you see this goal. Edge of the box, Alistair Johnston, the Celtic defender, lost his footing, which allowed eager man to get the ball, and he just unleashed one. He'd only been on the pitch about 2 minutes, right into Kasper Schmeichel's top left hand corner, and it was his 14th of the season, and it's given Rangers the advantage here with 3.5 minutes of added time left to play. Celtic 2, Rangers 3.
We'll keep you right up to date with all of that. Still Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1 in the dying embers in the Championship. Will be at Tannadice as well. We've got the Tayside derby, Dundee United and Dundee at 3 o'clock. Second halves of those Premier League games to come, and then we'll be back here, all eyes on Wembley, for the League Cup final at 4:30, Newcastle versus Liverpool. Let's get the news now with Carl Hartley.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Health Secretary says there's an overdiagnosis of mental health conditions, with too many people being written off. Speaking to the BBC, Wes Streeting wouldn't confirm reports that the government could abandon a planned freeze on disability benefits, but he insisted the welfare system needs reform. The SNP's Jenny Gilruth says there's confusion about the government's plan.
We don't yet have the detail, we don't yet have the costings, and we don't understand what that will mean for us in terms of the block grant, and I think that's important. My view is that the United Kingdom government owe an apology to the disabled community across the United Kingdom. They have caused deep concern and anxiety.
59 people have been killed and more than 150 injured in a nightclub fire in North Macedonia. It's understood that fireworks are being used by a band who were performing at the venue in the small town of Kochani led to the fire. Arrest warrants have been issued for 4 people. One man has been found dead and another left with potentially life-changing injuries after a double stabbing in Coventry. Police were called to a house in the city and found the 2 men inside the property. A 51-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. At least 34 people have been killed in tornadoes sweeping across southern and central states in the US. More than 100 million people are under weather alerts. Matthew Capucci is a meteorologist in Alabama.
Some places were hit multiple times. There was one town, Taylorville, where I was actually chasing a tornado. I was on one of those, and they had multiple tornadoes impact the immediate vicinity, and they were under 4 PDS, or particularly dangerous situation tornado warnings.
And a rescue mission to bring 2 stranded astronauts back to Earth has successfully docked at the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have been stuck in orbit for 9 months. The original mission was meant to be just 8 days. They're due back on Earth next week.
On BBC Sounds, good things come to those who don't wait. Like Desert Island Discs.
So let's get started. Your first choice, what's it going to be?
You're Dead to Me.
The comedy podcast that takes history seriously.
And Friday Night Comedy.
It's what's in the news with a big dose of satirical silliness.
You don't have to wait to listen to the latest episodes of your favourite podcasts. They're on BBC Sounds before anywhere else. Listen first on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0, Fulham 0, Tottenham 0, half-times in the Premier League. Second half commentaries to come on 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra. At Tannadice, it's the Tayside derby. 13 points separate Dundee United in 5th and Dundee, who are second bottom. The biggest gap between them at this stage of the season since 2016. Gavin Wallace.
Yes, Steve, we're looking forward to this. We've had one superb derby in Scotland. This should complement it nicely, as this fixture has returned a whopping 520 goals over the years. The team news says Jim Goodwin makes one change. Ferry in for Sybil. Tony Docherty makes 3 as Tiffany Cameron and Scylla all come in, both needing a morale-boosting win. The visitors, though, if they win, would go within a point of Kelly.
Full time at Celtic Park. Kenny Crawford.
Barry Ferguson's Rangers have done it. They've beaten Celtic 3-2 on Celtic's patch. An 88th minute winner by Hamza Egeman. And the 88th minute has won it for Rangers. It's their first win at Celtic Park since October 2020. It's a massive step for Barry Ferguson in terms of him trying to secure that Rangers manager's job beyond just an interim appointment until the summer. They've progressed in the Europa League. Now they've beaten Celtic. It's only the third time Brendan Rodgers has lost to Rangers in 22 matches. That shows what his record was like up until today. Rangers were 2-0 up in the first half. An early goal after 4 minutes by Nico Rask, and then Mo Diomande, the Ivory Coast midfielder, made it 2 on 37 minutes. Then at the start of the second half, it flipped. Daisen Maeda, his 28th of the season, made it 2-1 Rangers. Celtic had pulled one back, then they pulled the second one back on the 74th minute. Ryo Hitati, another Japan international, his 8th of the season. But Hamza Egeman on in 85 minutes as a sub and scored in the 88th minute, his 14th of the season. It was a wonderful strike, fitting to win any game, and what a battle it's been. 2,400 Rangers fans were here to see it. They're surrounded by a net for safety reasons, but they're absolutely jubilant as the Rangers fans now see the team come towards them. Celtic 2, Rangers 3.
It's all over at Hillsborough. Sammy Rudgeravajula.
Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. Rhian Brewster has played for 4.5 years for Sheffield United. It's a career that's been tainted with injury in striped colours, but he has got the winner here, tapping in from 64 minutes. He gets the winner in the end, and Sheffield United move back to second in the table. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1.
It's still 0-0 in the Women's Super League between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. That's bottom versus second bottom. The other game today kicks off at 3 o'clock. Tottenham can leapfrog Brighton with a win today. Emily Herbert.
And it's a deal-breaker game for Spurs boss Robert Villaham. If they want to finish in the top 5 this season, they make 2 changes. Top scorer Bethany England is sidelined with a quad injury, and Charlie Grant misses out with concussion. Thomas and Milden come in. As for Brighton, they've been inconsistent, unbeaten at home but struggle on the roads. They've never beaten Spurs in London, but do have Maisie Simmons, who returns from suspension, while Vicky Losada is dropped.
In Rugby League, Lee Leopards host Batley Bulldogs in the Challenge Cup this afternoon. Lee have made a really good start to the Super League season. Can they continue that form in the Cup? Ian Chisnell.
They will be massive favourites to see that it does against a Batley side flying the flag as the only non-Super League side still standing. The Bulldogs, though, are unbeaten themselves despite a crippling injury crisis. But with the shock exit of neighbours and holders Wigan last night, Lee will be fancying a speedy return to Wembley, having lifted the famous trophy in 2023. A strong Leopards should have far too much for Batley. We go from 3.
In Rugby Union, the Premiership's women's rugby final this afternoon is Gloucester Hartpury against Saracens, who are looking to make it 3 titles in a row. Adam Whitty.
Yeah, the top 2 in the regular season meet in the showpiece final at the StoneX Stadium. Gloucester Hartpury, as you say, Steve, going for a historic 3-peat, but they also want to give head coach Sean Lynn a fairy tale goodbye as he takes up the Wales job ahead of the Women's Six Nations. They're unchanged from their semi-final win over Bristol. Saracens seeking their 15th English title, their first for 3 years. One change for them. Gabrielle Senft comes into the back row. Will it be the new kids on the block or the old giant of English women's rugby who triumphs today? Kick off at 3.
Golf next, final round of the Players' Championships. Rory McIlroy is in the mix. Ian Carter is at Sawgrass, getting underway a little earlier than planned.
Yes, they are, because there are storms forecast for later today. But Rory McIlroy out of the blocks in explosive style, holding from 8 feet at the first for a birdie, then from 10 feet for an eagle 3 at the second. So he's leapt up to 11 under par, just one shot off the lead. That's held by JJ Spawn, who's just parred the first hole. Bud Cauley also at 11 under par. He's playing the second, having parred the opening hole. And Akshay Bhatia, the American, has birdied the first 2 holes. He's got into the group at 10 under par, but McIlroy just one behind as he plays the third.
There's commentary of the final round on 5 Sports Extra. That will start after full time at Fulham. Then after that, live tennis from Indian Wells. Mira Andreeva against Arina Sabalenka in the women's final. British number 1 Jack Draper faces Holger Rune in the men's final. After that, full commentary from California on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. Checkered Flag podcast is out now after Lando Norris victory in the first race of the season. And you're up to date. Right, I'm delighted to say that we've got a couple of minutes now before second half commentary from the Emirates to speak to our special guest.
And a very warm welcome back to Craven Cottage, where Fulham are making their slow progress back out onto the pitch. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0 in what was at times a fairly soporific first half. A first half that lacked clear-cut opportunities, and we hope for much better in the second half. No sign of Spurs at the moment, apart from one player, and that's Lucas Bergvall, who will be coming on as a substitution for someone. Bergvall, who was one of the 7 changes. Son also, I notice, has his tracksuit off. So Spurs are going to be making a couple of changes with Son and Bergvall both coming on to the field. Just like the start of the game, we have many bodies making their way across the field. Some wearing Spurs and Fulham shirts, but many in tracksuits. The referee's right in the middle of the melee of bodies as well. Ben Mee, Brentford defender, watching alongside. Well, we wondered what the messages might be from Marco Silva and Ange Postecoglou. I don't think we anticipated changes at half-time, but Ange Postecoglou has looked to his bench and he's going to introduce Bergvall and Son.
Yeah, you can certainly understand it. I think a little bit of energy within the midfield with Bergvall and obviously on the wing with Son, who'll bring all his experience and drive to the team that he can. And you can understand him making a couple of subs because they were pretty lacklustre in that first half, Spurs, and Fulham were growing into the game. So you can understand the changes from the manager.
Well, Yves Bissouma is making way for Lucas Bergvall. That's the first of the changes, and Son is coming on for Brennan Johnson. So Johnson, who is Spurs' top scorer this season, he had that excellent run of goals, is off the field, and Son is coming on. I guess you could make a case for either of the wingers, Son, Johnson or Tell. Neither could really get into the game, and it's Johnson who's been sacrificed.
Yeah, no, Johnson never really got into the game. Tell showed glimpses. He's moved out onto that right hand side, and Son's come over to this left hand side now. We'll see if they can get some energy within the game, some tempo.
We are back underway at Craven Cottage with Spurs building the first attack of the second half and winning a very early corner. Bergvall involved straight away, nearly getting on the end of a ball into the box, and it took a couple of ricochets wide, and noticeably Matis Tell then went straight to the Spurs fans, and Tottenham are attacking the Putney end where the Tottenham fans are housed, and straight away urged them to get behind the side. So maybe a message from Ange Postecoglou to get involved a bit more, get the fans involved a bit more. Son's first involvement in the game is to take this corner on the far side, the right, left arm aloft. In it comes with his right foot. Bentancur rises. That got a touch off a Fulham player last, and Spurs will have a second corner. And if this game can get a goal early on in the second half, I fancy it'll open it right out. Sun blazing down once more as Son waits and delivers with his right foot. Whip on that, headed away. Berger doing the defending, back out to the corner, take a Son on that far side of the right, drops the shoulder away from Iwobi into the box. Bentancur, right foot shot. Smith Rowe with a decent block. Spurs will want to keep the momentum of this attack going. Here is the blonde-haired Bergvall making progress in the sunshine near side the left. The two subs combine. I'll run you through the two revised 11s in a moment. Bentancur making a run to the corner flag. Anderson comes out to meet him. All this very tight to the touchline near side the left, and Bergvall goes all the way back to Ben Davies, who in turn will go all the way back to Vicario. So no changes for Fulham at the break. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. 5 Sports Extra live at a sun-kissed at the moment but chilly Craven Cottage. Vicario under a little bit of pressure from Willian. It's a lovely turn away from Spence to get out of danger, and he's hurtling away from Willian. Bergvall now over halfway. Son has plenty of space out on this left-hand side. Bergvall attempted to find him, but sadly, just like many of his colleagues did in the first half, gave it away rather cheaply. Son now with the gloves and the base layer to Udogie on this left-hand side, a couple of yards outside the penalty area. Gray, proper Leeds lad Archie Gray, there's no gloves, there's no base layer in the short sleeves. Fulham have this throw right back position. So Fulham, no changes at the break, so they are as they were, with Leno in goal, Castagna, Anderson, Bassi and Robinson, Iwobi, Berger, Pereira, Willian, Smith Rowe and Jimenez, and Robinson has to clear with the outside of his left foot towards the halfway line. Romero hopefully forward, Anderson heads back, and Leno will just about get this before Solanke can cause any damage. So there's 2 changes at the break for Spurs, Bergvall and Son on for Basuma and Johnson, Vicario the goalkeeper, Spence, Romero, Davis, Udogie, Bentancur, Gray, Bergvall, Son, Solanke and Tell. Berger moving forward for the white shirts of Fulham with the black shorts and the white socks, kicking from left to right in this second half, away from the Putney end towards the Hammersmith end. So both sides attacking towards their more vociferous supporters, of course in Spurs' case attacking their block of fans. Davis rather, with a good clearance just inside his own penalty area. Tell will prevent the ball going out of play on that far side, but not to any great effect, because Fulham win it straight back. Robinson in field, Willian, Berger, tight triangle. Berger stops the play. The ball is stationary. Emil Smith Rowe with a pocket of space into the penalty area he goes, and then was felled late, but the half-hearted appeals came from the fans rather than the players, as Bentancur finds Tell on this near side the left, Udogie rather, and Son, Bentancur and Gray once again. Promising signs in the early stages of this second half, Ben, and we need a bit more of this as we move through the game.
Yeah, certainly a lot more energy from Spurs coming out the second half. Son's giving a bit of energy to the side. Bergvall's been on the ball a bit more already. Just want to get Solanke into the game more, probably put Fulham defence under a little bit more pressure. Be interested to see how many touches Solanke's had, and he's barely touched the ball I think this game, but they'll want to get him on the ball a bit more.
Iwobi with a pass that very nearly put Berger into difficulty. Solanke was buzzing around trying to get hold of the ball. Solanke named in Thomas Tuchel's England side despite his recent injury record. England playing Albania and Latvia in Thomas Tuchel's first matches in charge, European qualifiers. Here's Jimenez outside of his right foot to find Willian into the penalty area. Willian goes onto his right foot, half an opportunity to shoot. He does, takes a deflection that sends it a couple of yards wide. That's what Willian's all about, but he was starved of space. But his right foot shot at least does elicit a latest Fulham corner.
Yeah, it looks a bit dangerous coming on his right foot. Tried to shift it a little bit more, going into bodies though. A lot of bodies in and around it, and I think it was Archie Gray who got the block in and out for a corner.
World Cup qualifiers, not European qualifiers for Thomas Tuchel. Solanke part of his squad. 5 minutes into the second half, Fulham corner, far side their left as they go from left to right, in front of the Riverside stand, delivered into the front post, goes an awfully long way. Smith Rowe strikes with his left foot, and in keeping with the rest of the game, it spirals high and wide into the fans, and it remains Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, good delivery on that corner there, just into a nice area, a couple of blocks on the Spurs defenders, just no one attacking that space where it was created for him with the blocks, and fell to Smith Rowe and just lashed it a little bit with his weaker foot.
I'm going to say this now, Ben, and I'm going to hope to jinx it. None of Spurs' last 109 Premier League games have finished goalless.
Wow,
that's quite some statistic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of games.
So, having said that, hopefully that has just jinxed it. James Maddison is preparing to come on, so Ange Postecoglou is not wasting any time here in making some changes. 2 at the break and already a third readying, and that's Maddison, and we've only played 6 minutes of the second half. Romero with some defending to do by his right-sided corner flag. Gray, who is inside his own penalty area, which is where he's been used to in his Spurs career so far, playing as a centre-half, playing in the centre of midfield now, and he did well to move the ball away from danger. Davis making Spurs appearance number 350. Maddison, when he comes on, will make his 300th English League appearance. Maddison, who's had spells at Leicester and at Coventry where he started, Norwich City in the middle of all of that as well, left out of the England side. Here is Davis to Son on halfway. Lovely touch from Son. We didn't see enough of that from Spurs in the first half. Bentancur plays it one more to Bergvall, and suddenly there are options for Lucas Bergvall. He's on his right foot, dinked in towards Solanke's header, couple of yards wide. Promising from Spurs. Bergvall involved, and Solanke's header, decent power on it, but not quite the accuracy. And it, in the end, fell a couple of yards wide.
Yeah, that's a big chance for Solanke there. Really good run from Bergvall, and a good little dink into that sort of far post area. It's a good chance. He's sort of just inside the penalty spot area. And a better contact on that, and he finds the bottom corner. But a really good play from Bergvall to burst towards that area in sort of outside of the 18-yard box and dink a little ball in there.
Brentford defender Ben Mee with us on 5 Sports Extra. It was that sort of direct running and breaking of the lines that we didn't see much of in the first half. Such an important part of the game, it feels like these days. Midfielders that can break lines and midfielders that can carry the ball. Free kick meanwhile given to Spurs for a foul on Bentancur.
Yeah, absolutely. Players that can carry the ball, but that end product as well, that quality on the end of it, and that's what Solanke needs. He's not had much of that this game. But yeah, that bit of quality to find him in the areas that he wants to be in, and he'd be probably disappointed actually with the header that he didn't get enough contact on it. He had a good look at it, good run at it, and just past the post. Yeah,
pace was on the ball from Bergvall, just had to guide it towards the bottom corner. Wasn't a million miles away, but Leno not needed to save. So this free kick is a good 30-35 yards out and quite wide, so not a shooting opportunity. Son's delivery is flicked towards goal by Romero, and like the Solanke header, didn't quite get the required touch on it, and that drops out of play for a goal kick. And it was Solanke again, actually, not Romero. Yeah. So a couple of headed chances now for Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, that one was a bit more difficult, just sort of behind him a little bit, trying to guide it into the far post. Not a lot of pace on the ball. So yeah, more difficult one, but good signs though. He's getting a couple of chances in and around the box.
Romero steps out of the Spurs defence, looking for Son on the edge of the penalty area. Bentancur now to Udogie. This is much better from a Spurs perspective. We didn't see much of this in the first half. Fulham enjoyed the majority of possession in the first half, didn't really do anything with it, but Spurs have looked threatening. Son with the base slayer and the gloves on what is a nippy old afternoon in West London. Udogie turns away from his man, finds Son, who just had to sort his feet out. Iwobi not giving him a moment's peace. Son turns away from Iwobi and finds Gray inside the centre circle, tentatively comes over halfway. Spence is on that far side, so too is Bergvall, who uses Spence again just inside his own half, and Spurs are keeping decent possession, which is something they didn't really utilise in the first half. Destiny Udogie nutmegs Castagna and sets off towards the penalty area. Udogie onto his left foot, towards the back post. Tell arriving, but not arriving quickly enough. He will scamper over to that far side to keep the ball in play. And now Bergvall into the box. He falls to the floor under the challenge of Berger. And they got a wave of dissatisfaction from referee Andy Madley. Maybe slightly fortunate not to get a card for that, because that was a fairly blatant attempt at winning a penalty.
Yeah, a few harsh shots from the Spurs fans there, but I think they knew straight away it wasn't a penalty. But a nice little bit of play from Udogie there, just sort of teased him in with a little bit of a loose touch, and Castagna just sort of put a leg out, and he managed to nick it through his legs and get an end of it, and a decent little ball across the box, but no one on the end of it.
An encouraging opening 10 minutes to the second half here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0, 5 Sports Extra. Craven Cottage, which looks very different these days, with the Riverside stand opposite us, banks of the Thames. Here in the Johnny Haynes stand, still with the wooden seats. Not many grounds you go to where you sit on old wooden seats, but it is part of the Craven Cottage charm, with the cottage still in the corner away to our left-hand side. Spurs have won a free kick with a little shirt pull just on the edge of the penalty area, but again very wide, so I think Son will try and put it in the old corridor of uncertainty, to use a phrase that crops up prominently on the Commentator's View podcast with Ian Dennis, John Murray and Alistair Bruce Ball. But this is a decent crossing opportunity, Ben.
Yeah, it's a good position to be in. I quite like the outswinger in this position, but yeah, no, it's going to be Son whipping it into that far post and looking to get someone on the end of it, a flick at the front post, maybe a run across the front. Yeah,
it will be the in-swinger from Son, who delivers it with great pace, and it is in towards that front post, goes right across the face of goal, and I think that should be a corner. Instead, referee points for a goal kick, and the reaction of the Spurs players suggests that they thought it should have been a corner as well.
Yeah, it looked a corner, but obviously the referees just missed it. It was only a slight nick, and from the angle we're looking at it, we can see the little nick that it got on it, but goal kick, and yeah, we're already playing on.
Yeah, Fulham coming forward with Bassey. Out of interest, why do you prefer the outswinger there? Because I presume many would put in the in-swinger in that position.
Yeah, just I think, you talk about that corridor uncertainty, you can get that little bit of a whip round it in that sort of wider area. I think the further you go inside, maybe an in-swinger, but just from that wider area there, you can see the ball a little bit better, I think, coming onto it.
I guess easy to attack as a centre half.
I think with the in-swingers, that front post, it's dangerous and can end up in the far post. But no, I think as a player attacking it, the outswinger from that position.
We approach the hour mark. James Maddison was ready to come on about 5-6 minutes ago, but he has since returned to his seat on the Spurs dugout, and maybe that is because Tottenham are enjoying their best spell of the game. So Ange Postecoglou has said to Maddison, hold on a moment, we don't need you just yet, but I'm sure we will see him at some point. 59 minutes played, Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Arsenal still lead Chelsea 1-0, that's over on 5 Live. Leicester, Manchester United to come in the Premier League from 7, and then at 4:30, sandwiched in between, the League Cup final between Liverpool and Newcastle. Full commentary on 5 Live with a 4:30 kickoff at Wembley, and plenty of live sport to look forward to across 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra over the coming hours. As soon as we're done here, we'll be off to the Players' Championship, the final round of the Players at Sawgrass, getting underway slightly earlier today because of inclement weather in the air. Iwobi for Fulham, meanwhile, on the edge of the penalty area. Haven't seen Fulham as an attacking force in this second half. Slip from Bergvall allows Pereira in. A little pitching wedge from Willian to Robinson on that far side of the left. Willian takes over again. Back to Robinson on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Early ball in. Smith Rowe, can he sort his feet out? Romero, good defending. Knew exactly what Smith Rowe was trying. He's too wise for that, is Christian Romero. Body in between Smith Rowe and ball, and Spurs have this goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, good bit of experience defending there from Romero. Just go back to Maddison. Sometimes a manager will give instructions to the player before he goes out and warms up, just so that when he does want to make the change, he can do it straight away rather than give instructions at that time.
It's definitely a better feel to this game now. Son delivers a left-footed ball into the penalty area. Bentancur couldn't control it, but gets away from Berger and now finds Udogie on that far side. Tell to Bergvall. His right foot shot deflected for another corner. It didn't feel like a goal was coming in the first half, but it does now.
Yeah, certainly a different feel about it. The way Spurs are attacking, more energy. Look a bit more of a threat now, getting into spaces in and around the penalty area. Tell getting a little bit of space back to Bergvall, and good block from Sander Berger there, but another corner for Spurs.
Spurs fans still standing in the corner of the Putney end. They go a long way back. One of the shorter journeys they'll make in the Premier League this season. Many of them have made it from north to West London. Son over this latest corner. The green shirts dotted around the white with Leno's blue shirt very prominent. In comes the delivery. Davis had a left foot swipe at it, didn't make any contact with it. Bergvall will deliver with his right foot. That's nicely done. It was a good shape on that drill into the box, but Leno read it early, finds Willian. Little flick to Jimenez is cute and clever and effective, Jimenez over halfway, far side the left as Fulham go from left to right. Now Iwobi has space in which to operate. Smith Rowe, former Arsenal to former Arsenal. Smith Rowe just had to change the direction of his run because the ball was a little bit overhit. Berger, Smith Rowe, just inside the Spurs half and all the way back to Anderson. But Fulham, who have not really had their foot on the ball in this second half, have an opportunity to do so here. And a good exponent of that sort of passing is Berger, who smoothly plays it across to Castagna on this near side, the right, back to Berger, who changes the direction of travel from right to left. Bassi inside his own half, clip to Robinson. His first touch was good because that was delivered to him at some pace. But the movement for Fulham, maybe not as lively as Marco Silva would like, and he's clapping his hands in frustration on that far side. There's going to be another couple of changes coming. I can see Adama Traore warming up. In fact, he's more advanced than that. He's ready to come on.
Yeah, I was just thinking then
Iwobi and Udogie are battling. The Fulham fans want a free kick. They felt Udogie was shirt pulling Iwobi. Assistant referee was right on top of that, disagreed. Instead it's a Fulham throw rather than a free kick. And here come the two changes. Rodrigo Muniz is the other change. So Raul Jimenez is being withdrawn. Fulham's top scorer this season with 12 goals. He hasn't really had a sight of goal. Had a glimpse in the first half when he controlled nicely. But apart from that, few and far between the service to him, the chances available to him. And Rodrigo Muniz is on in his place, and Alex Iwobi being replaced by Adama Traore, who always has the capability of injecting some tempo and energy into any game.
Yeah, absolutely. Quiet day for Jimenez, and Iwobi, little bits here and there, but nothing too major this game. But these two coming on now, lively, a bit of freshness, energy around it, and two quality players coming on the pitch. So I was wondering actually when Marco Silva would make a change. Spurs have been on top the second half so far, and around the hour mark, it's usually a time for managers obviously to make a change, and he's certainly felt like it was necessary, and I completely agree with him.
Fulham 0, Tottenham 0, but it has been a better second half. Leno inside his own penalty area, Anderson to Timothy Castagna, the Belgian international. First touch for Traore won't count because the ball drifted out of play. Traore with a very recognisable look. I don't think many players, in fact I can't think of one, if I was to describe to you a player that tucks his shirt into his shorts and has the very short sleeves, I think you probably know exactly the player I'm describing, because I can't think of too many that sport that look these days.
Mateta, maybe? Mateta,
yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah.
It's one that does it nowadays.
Yeah, Jean-Philippe Mateta does, yeah. In fact, every other player on that pitch.
Different physique to Traore. So I think that's recognisable as well.
That's very true.
Yeah, he's certainly he's causes problems for defenders with his physique and his pace. Absolutely.
Pereira causing problems for his own team by barging into Destiny Udogie, so that'll be a free kick to Spurs on this near side the left, probably equidistant between halfway line and penalty area, but it's another opportunity for Son to put the ball into the box. And I think because it's so far out, Son and Bentancur were pondering whether to just go short, but Son has waved Bentancur away, and instead the South Korean will deliver another ball into the penalty area. The last couple have caused Fulham problems. This one a bit further out. Son with another good ball into the box. This will drop to Bergvall on the edge after Fulham cleared successfully. The little touch from Spence, and now Mattis Tell with the red boots on the far side. His left-footed ball in. Davis with the header. Easy for Leno, who didn't have to move to make the save.
Yeah, pretty comfortable there for Leno. I think both crosses really were pretty easy to defend. Son a bit short with his free kick, and then comfortable one from Davis, who got the header on, but nothing too major from a distance that wasn't really going to trouble him.
Fulham the better side in the first half, Tottenham Hotspur the better side in the second, and now Tell is away from Bassi, but the referee's whistle had already gone. Bassi didn't know and went clattering into Tell, who's now clutching his left ankle, and I think it's going to be a free kick in the end to Fulham. I think he's given here as Andy Madley. Bassi's not too happy with the referee for some reason.
I think Romero's having a word with him.
Oh, of course he is. Of course he is. Those two had a little bit of a nibble in the first half. I did wonder whether the the Romero comeback would be utilised at some point. Yeah, I think Romero wasn't happy with the tackle that Bassi put in on Tell, so Romero was going to Tell to check he was okay, but just on the way thought he'd have a little word with Calvin Bassi. And the referee, Andy Madley, I think rather sensibly is just calming things down and saying to Bassi, well, I think in fairness to Bassi, I don't think he heard the whistle. He was fouled by Solanke originally.
Yeah, no, I didn't know the game had stopped, to be honest with you, but he was actually lucky it had stopped, because it wasn't,
it's
wasn't
not
a great
tackle, is it?
No,
looking at the
not.
replay, so that's why Romero was unhappy. I think Bassi was originally unhappy with Solanke's tackle on him, and then he charged after Tell to try and seek out some retribution. So Romero's game is over, and James Maddison is coming on. So presumably this means Archie Gray is going to slot back into centre back.
Yeah, probably just looking after Romero after his injuries. Got good 67 minutes in his legs. And Archie Gray's just slotted back in there. Maddison up behind Solanke, and Bergvall and Bentancur just in front of the back four there.
So we'll see what the introduction of James Maddison will do for proceedings. Another long raking pass towards Traore. Anderson to Traore, does really well to keep that in play. Davis with the tackle off Traore, and out of play for Spurs throw. Davis, I think, recognising he's not going to win that race, so get in tight nice and early.
Yeah, good defending from Ben Davis, winning the header, and then getting a good tackle in before Traore can get up to speed.
Pereira, awkward one for Smith Rowe to control. He didn't. Willian there to help him out. Berger plays another loose pass straight to Tell, who's inside the Fulham half. Lovely ball from Tell. Son couldn't quite get there, and he's forced to go a bit wide. Now he's into the box on this left-hand side, onto his right foot, wanting to shoot. Bentoncourt's teed up instead. He spreads it further wide to Tell. Is there a cross or a shot coming? Tell with his left foot. Leno saves. Maddison back into the danger area. Solanke over the bar. Well, nobody really had that under control from a Spurs perspective. Tell's left foot shot, Leno parried, it then cannoned off Son. Maddison there too. Solanke over the bar. Didn't quite fall for any of them.
Yeah, good passage of play from Spurs there. A shot from Tell coming in on his left foot. It didn't look like it was going to trouble Leno. He parries it out and parries it straight to Maddison's chest, wasn't it? And it just lands to Son, who pokes it over.
Feels like it's coming, and Spurs look the most likely of the two to get a goal, if we are to get a goal.
Sorry, Solanke did. Towed it over, not?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Son was close, but it was Maddison and then Solanke over the top. 300th English League appearance for James Maddison, scorer on Thursday in that 3-1 win over AZ Alkmaar. Also scored in Spurs' last win against Fulham. That was a good few years ago at Craven Cottage, October 2023. Fulham got a very convincing 3-0 win in the home game here last season, and it was 1-1 when these two sides met at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium earlier in the season. Eventful game for Tom Cairney, who came off the bench, scored Fulham's equaliser, then got sent off. He's on the bench again, Tom Cairney. Muniz, his first touch of the ball is a tackle on Son, but Son rides that challenge and finds Davis, who's deep inside his own half. Son again, who's had a big influence in this game, the South Korean superstar. Willian to Berger, base of the centre circle, closed down quickly by Bergvall, but nice feet to find Pereira. Well, now Traore, who can run at Udogi, something he loves to do. Into the area he goes. Traore onto the right foot and will win a corner off Udogi. Can't really give him too much room to run, and to be fair to Udogi, he didn't, and Fulham have this corner. The aforementioned Tom Cairney's about to come on, actually. A sip of an energy drink, gets a final word of instruction from Marco Silva, rubs his hands together, tries to get some energy into the legs. Pereira with this corner towards the edge of the box. Muniz lets it go. Not sure that was the plan, but Willian retrieves midway through the Spurs half, and now Robinson inside the centre circle. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. 20 minutes to play. BBC 5 Sports Extra. Pereira on this near side, the Fulham right. Traore down the line will get that. I thought he was second favourite there, but shouldered Udogi out of the way. and Fulham win this throw. And here comes the Fulham change. Tom Cairney is on, and Emil Smith-Rowe is making way. Didn't really get into the game, did he, Smith-Rowe? And now Cairney has 20 minutes to influence things.
Similar to Iwobi, really. Showed glimpses in the first half. Quiet this half, quiet second half. But we know the quality he's got. Just not quite at it today. And Cairney comes on and takes the captain's armband and looking to provide some quality from that midfield area.
Yeah, Robinson straps the armband to the left bicep of Tom Cairney, 34 years of age now. Tom Cairney's been a very good player for Fulham over the years, but most of his appearances coming from the bench these days. Castagna, near side the right, inside the Fulham half. Pereira's ball forward, took a nick off Bentancur, and that's out of play for a Fulham throw, who have just edged back into this half. Spurs have undoubtedly been the aggressors, but Fulham have just wrestled a little bit of control back into the match, which will frustrate Ange Postecoglou, who we can still see opposite us. You can just about see him, the other side of a pillar, one of the grounds, Craven Cottage, where your view, if you are placed in certain positions, obstructed by various pillars with wires strapped to them and old speakers. Here's Willian, who is felled by Spence, but felled legally according to the referee. That looked like a good old-fashioned shoulder to shoulder, and Andy Madley didn't see anything wrong with that. Tell back in field to Bentancur, closed down by Muniz. Gray sweeps the responsibility to Davis. Fulham fans feel they're not getting too many decisions from Andy Madley.
No, it was a nice crossfield pass and really well taken down by Willian, but good defending Jed Spence. He stuck with him stride to stride and just nudged him off the ball. It was too strong for him at that time.
Maddison getting involved, demands the ball off Ben Davis and plays a ball with the outside of his right foot for Solanke to scamper onto, but he's not going to get hold of that. Castagna with a rather loose aerial pass back to Leno, didn't control first time. Bergvall was close. Leno just about got it out of his feet and away for a throw, but that could have been a really awkward moment for Castagna and for Leno. Tell now on the far side, the right, close to the corner flag. Delivery is flat by Udogie. Son controls, has to move out of the penalty area in order to keep this attack going, and it's slowed down. The tempo is slowed right down once again. Maddison will have to go all the way back to the halfway line. Muniz snapping into a challenge, and Maddison gets it away from Muniz. Davis then hurtling to this near side, the left. Udogie hasn't played too many 90 minutes recently. He might play 90 minutes today, and maybe that was a bit of a tired pass from Destiny Udogie. Straight out of play, and Fulham have this throw. 0-0.
It's gone a bit scrappy again.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, just quality's just dropped a little bit. A few subs coming on the pitch, but just slowed down a little bit. Stop start.
Yeah, we've reverted to type. Pereira down the line for Rodrigo Muniz. Davis can't keep that in play. That'll be a throw. Rodrigo Muniz, who had a spell at Tottenham Hotspur or rather Carlos Vinicius had a spell at Tottenham not too long ago, the other striker in this side, but doesn't get much of a look in these days, Carlos Vinicius. Rodrigo Muniz, 8 goals to his name this season, scored twice in Fulham's win over Tottenham last season, that 3-0 win. Leno again with some backpedaling to do. Robinson is there to help him out. He moves the ball through his own penalty area with a switch of play that was tidy enough in the end for Castagna, and now Anderson just outside his own penalty area. The Fulham changes that are yet to be made, or at least the rest of the Fulham bench. Harrison Reed is on it, so too is Jorge Cuenca, the centre-back Josh King, Ryan Session and Marshall Godo. Here is Traore. Fans always get excited when he's on the ball, but he's overrun that. Straight into Bentancur. You did get that with Adama Traore for all the progressive runs. There are some that hit dead ends. Pereira crosses into the penalty area. Good ball in. Muniz was close to it. Vicario makes the save. Willian shoots right-footed. Wide by inches. And the look on Willian's face tells you that wasn't too far away. Terrific effort. I think Vicario was beaten, but so too was the left-hand post.
Yeah, a chance for the Fulham fans to get behind the team. A good ball in from Pereira. punched out from Vicario, and Williams got a lot of time to size this one up, and yeah, it was pretty close. A little bend it far corner, trying to find that far post. Just don't get enough whip on it, and yeah, sails past the post. But no, first bit of quality, and in the second half from Fulham. The Fulham fans were getting a bit frustrated at the beginning of that move, and Traore losing the ball, a little bit bouncing around, but a little bit of quality, and Willian unfortunately not to find that far post.
Yeah, terrific effort from the Brazilian. It remains Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. Tottenham have made another change meanwhile. Wilson Odobert, who got his first 2 goals for Spurs in that 3-1 win over LZ Alkmaar on Thursday. He's on the field. Matis Tel is being replaced. Bassi, errant pass. Son couldn't take advantage of it. Kearney now with the lurid yellow boots to Willian, closed down quickly by Spence. Good challenge as well. It means Fulham have to go all the way back to Leno via Bassi, and it's a much more controlled clearance this time by the Fulham goalkeeper. Muniz rises really well and wins a good header. Traore into the box, back to Muniz, headed away by Spence. It was a good header as well, away from anyone in a white shirt. There was only really Rodrigo Muniz to aim for. Odobert runs into trouble, and Willian robs him. He's got Robinson on the overlap. Robinson into the box. Muniz lets it go. Pereira's there. Traore collects. Back to Pereira inside the box. And then Muniz right foot shot in! Fulham strike! And it's the substitute Rodrigo Muniz who finds the bottom right-hand corner. It's a super sub for Marco Silva, and it could be the goal that wins the game for Fulham. Fulham 1, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, finally we have a goal, and something to shout about for the home fans. Odobert just getting robbed on inside his own half there by the Fulham players. 3 of them surrounding him. Manages to get the ball in the box, and I think it was Muniz at first. It was Traore at first, so he just flicked it through to Pereira. And Pereira just lays up Muniz, who it looked a little bit of a scuff shot, side foot shot, just rolled into the corner, nice and slow, with Vicario just beaten, just gone past him. Yeah, it was a slow shot, but just enough accuracy on it to get past the keeper.
It's a good finish into the corner.
It's a good finish.
He had a fraction of space and a little bit of time, almost on the penalty spot, and it's a really clever finish.
It's just he's just the side footed pass into the bottom corner, a little bit of curve on it away from Vicario, just outstretching it so far, and just rolls into that bottom corner. Really good finish, clever finish, and we've got a little bit of a lively atmosphere, lively game now.
Yeah, 9th goal of the season for Rodrigo Muniz, who started the season in good form and then was displaced by Raul Jimenez, who took up the goal scoring responsibility for Fulham. But he's off the bench to make an impact at Craven Cottage, and with 10 minutes to play on 5 Sports Extra, Fulham lead this game by a goal to 0. And there could be in again here as Traore, the recipient of a pass from Muniz. It was played just behind him. In fairness to Muniz, his pass through got a little ricochet, little nick, which made it easy for the Spurs defence, but they've run into another cul-de-sac. Kearney from a long way out thought about shooting and thought better of it. Robinson to Kearney again. He's bundled over by Spence. That's an obvious free kick. And this is exactly what Fulham need and Fulham want. They have the lead and they have the ball in another dangerous area.
Yeah, it's up to Spurs now to show what they're made of and come back in this game, but the crowd are up. Fulham look like they've got a spring in the step now after the goal, and another dangerous free kick in a good area.
The Craven Cottage atmosphere alive and well. Haven't had a great deal to get excited about, but they enjoyed that finish from Rodrigo Muniz, and they'll enjoy the final 10 minutes even more if they can find a second goal here. This free kick will be taken far side the left for Fulham. Pereira will deliver it towards the back post. Vicario punches under little pressure. It was a good punch in the end, plenty of distance on it. Robinson on halfway, sensibly goes all the way back to Leno.
He catches it though, he just takes the pressure off and quietens the crowd down a little bit. He's punched it and he goes straight to the Fulham players and they're back on the attack. For me, it was an easy catch that. He was under no pressure whatsoever.
Mark Flecken had done that. Would you have just had a little word? Would you have looked around and said
it for us, like the timing of the game? Okay, sometimes punch it, get it out of the danger zone, but they need just to calm the game down a little bit and get under control a little bit more. So it was a good time to get hold of the ball and sort of reset a little bit. So
Ben Mee, the Brentford defender, with us on 5 Sports Extra. Muniz wins another free kick for his side. What an impact he has made off the bench. Exactly the kind of influence that Marco Silva in his 200th Premier League game as a manager would want. And he's winning his 200th Premier League game as a manager. Spells with Hull and with Watford and with Everton. But he's found a home here at Craven Cottage, and he's doing a seriously impressive job. Fulham moving 3 points off Manchester City, who occupy 5th at the moment, likely to be a Champions League spot next season. And with this win, if they are to hold on, Fulham, they are moving themselves right in the mix. It's going to be a fascinating end to the season with so many in Champions League contention. Udogie for Spurs, who have 9 minutes, so still time to find an equaliser and do something about it. Maddison is caught late, but referee waves play on because Udogie's into the box, onto his left foot, scuffs cross, but Son makes something of it. Anderson in the way, out of play for a throw. Maddison on his feet and looks okay. Throw taken quickly but ineffectively. Traore comes away with the ball. It's another loose touch. Bergvall very late. That could be the first yellow card of the game, but referee plays a very good advantage, and Kearney looking to take advantage. Willian now takes over, far side the left. In the way is Spence, out of play for a Fulham throw, level with the edge of the Spurs penalty area.
Yeah, like I say, I think surprised he didn't go back to Bergvall then for a little foul on from Traore, just to even have a word with him, or maybe even book him. Actually, like you say, it could have been the first yellow card. It'll be interesting to see how long Willian lasts. First start in a long time, in his legs and that stuff. But he's still going out there and still running around and looking full of energy.
His 5th appearance for Fulham in his 2nd spell, and 4 of those have been substitute appearances. His first start, 36 years of age, Willian. Fulham moving up to 8th and 3 points behind Manchester City as things stand. Tottenham would stay where they are, one of 4 teams on 34 points, and they are not going to go down quite clearly, but they are perilously close to 17th in the Premier League, which for a club of Spurs' stature, and albeit it's not been a good league season, they are a better team than 17th, that is for sure. Wolves still have a way to go to catch them, but West Ham there, Everton are there, West Ham. 6 minutes to play, 1-0 Fulham. Robinson, good ball into the box. Pereira, his little touch for Muniz, who didn't continue his run. Maybe Pereira was better off going for goal. In the end, tried the cute little pass that wasn't read by Muniz. Spurs can come forward. Son, lovely touch. Udogie strides away from Castagna and now heads towards the penalty area. Support a little slow in getting to him. Son on the overlap. Solanke there too, so too Bergvall, and all the early momentum has just dissipated from the attack. Bentancur with a smooth pass to Spence, who keeps it going to that far side. Audebert onto his right foot, Bentancur just behind him, Maddison waiting for the shot on the edge of the box. Maddison's little dink, Pereira's in the way. Fulham now with everyone behind the ball as they look to see out the final 5 minutes of this game. Bergvall away from his man, into the box, goes down under the challenge of Bassi, but not enough contact according to the referee, and Leno collects. Probably fair enough.
Yeah, strong bit of play by Bergvall there. He a nice little bit of feet on the edge of the box, but it's probably it's not far off a penalty, but it's not quite enough to be a penalty. A good bit of play, driving into the box and causing problems. But yeah, I wouldn't have given that a penalty, but wasn't far off one.
VAR, as always, will be having a little check in the background, but I think they cleared that pretty quick. Son into the penalty area, left-hand side, left-footed ball in, front post. Guardian was Anderson. It's back to Son on the left-hand side of the box. 2 players to aim for. Son, chip to the back post. Audebert was there, but it just trickles agonisingly away from him. And out of play for a Fulham goal kick, which they will be in no hurry to take. They lead 1-0 with 4 minutes to play.
Yeah, just having a look at that sort of penalty shout. He's sort of got the wrong side of Bassi almost, and Bassi sort of stuck a leg out and he's used his body a little bit, and he's gone over. Bergvall's gone over his leg, but not quite enough for. I don't think he's stuck his leg out enough to sort of bring him down. I think more Bergvall's sort of initiated the contact a little bit and gone over. But yeah, like I say, it's positive from Bergvall. He's actually looked quite bright since he's come on. Albeit they've gone 1-0 down, but he's looked sharp since he's come on.
Right, couple of changes, one apiece. Fulham are withdrawing Willian, and the former Spurs left back, left winger Ryan Sessegnon comes on to play the final few minutes. Willian applauded all four sides of Craven Cottage. They love him here. They loved him in the first spell. They're pleased to have him back.
Yeah,
and he's put in a good shift, hasn't he?
Yeah, quality player. Yeah, I love to watch him play, especially in his early days in the Premier League, and coming back now to play, and he's put in a really good shift today.
The other change, Spurs made it, and Dane Scarlett, the young striker, is on. Rodrigo Bentancur removed, so defensive midfielder off and striker on. But it's Fulham who have the ball in their attacking third, not where Spurs need it if they want to get back into this game. Castagna, Anderson's first time touch, the red-booted Berger to Castagna. Sensible, responsible possession from Fulham, who go all the way back to Leno on the edge of his own penalty area. Leno's ball, Sessegnon is interested in this, and he get on the end of it. Davis is hauled down, Sessegnon gets the wrong side and scores fantastically. That is a goal worthy of winning any game, and it's the former Spurs player who wins it for Fulham with a gorgeous finish into the top corner. The strength to show off Davis and the accuracy to find the top corner to make it Fulham 2, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, a fantastic finish from Sessegnon there. A long ball from Leno. I actually thought he should have played into midfield, but he's hit the ball long, and Sessegnon just come on the pitch. Got the wrong side of Ben Davies, out-muscled him, and once he's on the other side of him, Ben can't touch him because he's in the box, and it'll bring him down and give away a penalty. And Sessegnon sized it up and picked out a real great finish into the top corner, bent it around the keeper. 2-0, and you'd like to think that's probably game over.
Listen to Craven Cottage, he's one of our own, chant the Fulham fans. He had such a brilliant couple of seasons for Fulham when they were making their way back up to the Premier League, terrific in the Championship. The move to Spurs didn't work out for one reason or another, but a brilliant goal. He shrugs off Davis. It's a wonderful finish into the top corner. Vicario with a dive that was in hope more than expectation. Got nowhere near it.
Yeah, it's a ball that should be dealt with. It's a ball that shouldn't ever end up with a goal. The fullback Jed Spence is just ball watching, and Sessegnon runs and gambles on it. And as I said, once he's the wrong side of Ben Davies, there you can't foul him. You can't bring him down. He's in the box, and Ben's looking for a little bit of help, support from his fullback. Jed Spence has had a decent day, and he's been solid at the back, and actually done all right. But he's been a bit lazy there, not getting back in and helping his centre half out.
It initially looked like Ben Davies had done enough to get the right side, but Sessegnon, as a ball forward, is headed goalwards by Scarlett, but straight into Leno's hands. But Sessegnon was determined not to give it up, used his strength, shoved Davis to one side, almost to say, this is mine, get out of the way, this is mine, this is my moment, this is my goal. What a goal it was. Spence, clever defending, dummy to move the ball away from danger. Spurs have 10 seconds of normal time plus added time, and there might be the usual 4 or 5 minutes. We haven't had any major stoppages in the game. Sessegnon's down now. 5 minutes indeed is how long we have at the end of this game at Craven Cottage. Fulham 2, Tottenham 0. Ryan Sessegnon following on from Rodrigo Muniz. It's a couple of wonderful changes from a Marco Silva perspective. The two changes have done the trick. Muniz's calm finish, Sessegnon's wonder strike. They've been two fabulous finishes.
Yeah, really good finishes, really calm finishes, and excellent. And Vicario's not really had any chance on either of them. But yeah, disappointing probably the way he defended that second one for sure.
Pereira's overhead kick, that would have put the cherry on the icing on the cake. Ball still alive for Fulham. Muniz's header. Vicario straight at him. Yeah,
Muniz has been good since he's come on, been lively, got his goal, but his all-round play, winning headers, been a focal point up there. Maybe Romero, that figure being in that centre-half spot. Might be probably a little bit missed in there at this moment in time.
Pereira takes the ball from Bergvall. Spurs look a beaten side now. Haven't won any of their last 2 Premier League matches. That's going to be 3 unless something miraculous happens. It'll be a rare blank for Spurs as well. Scored the 2nd most goals in the Premier League, only behind Liverpool, but they are staring at a big fat 0 today, and there'll be 0 points taken from this match as well, and they'll remain firmly in the lower regions of the Premier League unless they can find something that would be very dramatic, because we've already played 1:40 of stoppage time. 5 have been added on at the end of this game at Craven Cottage. Final round of the Players' Championship to come here on 5 Sports Extra. Then it's over to Indian Wells and the finals there, as the sport continues across the network. Fulham are going to win this game. Robinson over halfway, brilliantly away from 2. And Fulham 4 against 3. Is there to be a 3rd goal? Pereira on the edge is well challenged by Udogie, sliding in once and twice, and Spurs can win it with Scarlett. It's there to be one right in the centre of the Spurs half, and eventually Spurs get a free kick. You applaud Fulham's attacking endeavour, but I fancy Marco Silva would have preferred that heading to the corner.
Yeah, maybe, 2-0 up. 2 minutes and a half to go, or however long. Might as well go for it, I think. After his good run there, really good run from Robinson. He's been excellent as well, actually. Full of energy on that left-hand side. A couple of good crosses. First half, he looked probably the most threat going forward. He's had a good performance today. A nice little run there on that left-hand side just then.
Nothing working for Spurs. Another move breaks down. Another Fulham counter-attack. Sessegnon full of life. It's his goal that looks to have secured a really important win for Fulham, and they'll move 3 points behind Manchester City in 5th, and they've got a cup quarter-final to come. Life is good on the banks of the Thames. Solanke won't get on the end of that. Leno catches, drops to the floor, will waste a few more crucial seconds, and we only have 90 seconds to go. Fulham lead this game 2-0.
Yeah, Solanke's been feeding off scraps a little bit most of the game. A couple of headers, but not really too much to go off, not much service, and that probably summed it up there. That long ball straight through to Leno, and miles away from its intended target.
Yeah, had a couple of sighters with those headers, but nothing you'd call clear-cut. Fulham, though, have run into trouble. Son has it on the edge of the penalty area. That was sloppy from Berger. Here is Solanke's chance. Left foot shot, well saved. Leno, big left hand to deny Dominic Solanke. That was arrowing towards the bottom corner. Leno preserves his clean sheet and keeps it at Fulham 2, Spurs 0.
Yeah, just we were talking about that. He has his biggest chance of his game on his left foot. Decent attempt, but Leno got down really well to save it. Down low to his left-hand side. It was, like I say, it was arrowing to that bottom corner, but good stop from the keeper.
It's going to be just a 3rd clean sheet in 18 Premier League games for Fulham if they see out the final 30 seconds. 2nd win at home in 8, and you feel the timing is perfect for them with that FA Cup quarter-final to come against Crystal Palace, and their continued pursuit of European football that could still be Champions League football, with top 5 almost certainly to feature in next season's Champions League from England. And there's a nice little race developing. It's really the only talking point, isn't it, this season? The title looks sewn up, the relegation places look sewn up, European places not so. We have played the 5 minutes of stoppage time. Spurs are beaten, Fulham victorious. It didn't look likely we'd see a goal in the first half. The second half was better. Spurs had plenty of it, but it's Fulham that come away with a big 3 points, courtesy of 2 excellent finishes from 2 Fulham substitutes. Rodrigo Muniz off the bench to find the bottom corner with a really clinical, accurate finish from the penalty spot. Ryan Sessegnon wrapped up the points, the former Spurs player, shrugging Ben Davies to one side, finding the top corner with a gorgeous right foot shot. And that was that for Fulham, who move up to 8, 3 points behind Manchester City in 5th. Spurs league travails continue. It's another defeat for them. It's a rare blank for them. And Ange Postecoglou looks a little forlorn as he shakes hands with his backroom staff, with his Fulham counterparts and the Fulham players. A big win for Fulham, Ben. And based on the second half, in particular the second half of the second half, they deserved it.
Yeah, they did. They were probably the better team in the first half as well. So on that sort of basis, I think they probably deserved a win. It wasn't the best of games. Spurs came second half with a few substitutions and made a go of it, and were probably the better team for the first bit of that second half, and then Marco Silva made his substitutions and brought on Muniz and Traore and the like, and obviously Sessegnon coming on and making a difference. So overall probably Fulham deserve a victory in what wasn't a fantastic performance, but they've done enough, and like you say, it's a big win for them. They go a little bit further away from us, which is frustrating, but and on the Spurs sort of look at that game, the disappointing season goes on, really. Another poor performance, and they've got to look forward to now probably Europa, and that's really all they've got to look forward to this season.
Spurs will rue not taking advantage of that spell just after half-time. Bergval's introduction, Son's introduction, it did give them a little bit of something. They didn't really create anything that you would call clear-cut, but they looked the more threatening of the teams, and they didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, they were more positive. They got in around, they kept the ball a little better, got more energy about themselves. Like you say, there was nothing really clear-cut. That last minute one from Solanke was probably the best they got. Some half chances in there, and then Fulham came back into the game with their subs and managed to go on and win the game.
And Fulham, those substitutions, and Muniz, you got an indication, didn't you, straight away. When he came on, he looked busy, he looked lively, he looked energetic, and just that sort of introduction helped a game that was meandering along at no great pace.
No, he did, and then he got his goal, and he looked sort of even more of a threat, and he looked really up for it when he managed to get the goal. So he was causing problems. Romero went off, and obviously Archie Gray went into centre half alongside Ben Davies, not the most physically built centre halves that they have, and Muniz is obviously quite a big lad, was winning, dominating it up there, gave them a sort of a platform to build from, and caused them problems.
And what about the finish? I always imagine that it's the kind of goal that strikers love to score, because it's that instinct. He had very little time, he had very little space, and it was just a glorious little side foot into the corner. He couldn't have hit it any more accurately.
Yeah, it was a lovely connection with the ball, actually. I thought he'd scuffed it a little bit, but no, it was just a nice slow, smooth pass into the bottom corner, and it was a good settle from Pereira as well. He's laid it off to him in that zone, no panic, nice calm sort of set, and it allowed him to finish first time, and I say it was a good smooth finish, and Vicario was stretching all the way and couldn't quite get to it.
And the man on the television screens walking off applauding the fans, Ryan Sessegnon. That would have meant a lot to him. It didn't work out for him at Spurs, and not just the goal, the quality of the goal, to get into the position to score it firstly, and then to find the top corner. It was a really good hit. It was a wonderful hit.
Yeah, it was a lovely finish. I'm someone that'll look at the defending first and foremost, but once he got into that position, you got to finish it, and it was a really good finish. Found the top corner, and he's obviously coming fresh onto the pitch. It's not easy to do that when you've been sat on a bench for 80 minutes. But I think there's a lot to be desired from the defending point of view. Like you say, a really nice finish from Sessegnon.
And from a Tottenham Hotspur perspective, you feel that we've been here before with Spurs. Where do they go from here? It feels like the league now is just a complete non-event for Spurs. They're not going to go down. They're not going to make Europe via the league. It's all about the Europa League. But it's a difficult sell for fans who will want to see some form of progression from Ange Postecoglou's team.
No, absolutely. Coming to the ground today, I was looking at the league position. You think, what the Spurs want to get out of this season, the league-wise, top 10 or whatever. But even that's going to be a push now at the minute. And was there 9 games to go, and trying to sort of get into that top half of the table? Do they want to? Do they want to push for that? Do the players have the mentality to carry on in what's been a disappointing season? Yes, they've got the Europa League, and that's important for for the club to go on and try and win a trophy and keep everyone fit. So yeah, that's definitely a priority. But they want to try and finish the season strong. Put on performances. Got some good young players who should be wanting to impress all the time. So that should be a positive. But eyes on Europa League for sure. And if they can reach the top 10 of the Premier League, they can sort of claim back a little bit of pride, I guess, in what's been a poor season for them.
At least they haven't got a long journey home, the Spurs fans. Ben, really enjoyed your company.
Thank you, yeah, it's been great.
And good luck for the rest of the season with Brentford. You've got your own European battle to hopefully look forward to as well, but really enjoyed your company. Brentford defender Ben Mee with us on 5 Sports Extra.